Alô, 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 bom dia. Pera aí.
Yeah. Like, going halfway through this phase 2, any of these people you wouldn't be surprised to see in an asymmetrical top coat, right? So that's something we want to keep an eye on. One thing I want to have a little bit more of a deeper dive, though, is the metagame and sort of how it's progressed here in Lille, because it's really been super interesting, right, going from phase 1 to phase 2. Especially one thing that I really love seeing is the development from Milwaukee. So this is our phase 1. Any sort of what stands out to you here, Joe?
Well, I think the Charizard Pidgeot coming off a win isn't too surprising that we see it quite as a popular choice. But still, people just saying, no, Gardevoir, Dragapult, they've been such cornerstones of our format for so long now. People have got so many reps with the deck, it's still hard to move off it. And honestly, you see a lot of Dark-type Pokemon and you think, oh, the Dark-types are always going to be great into Gardevoir. That's not always necessarily the case, because Gardevoir can be so tricksy. It can involve a devolution package if it's expecting a bunch of Stage 2s. It can include some item locking approaches that can shut down rare candies from some of these decks. And it's got single prize attacking options. And we've seen a bit of a shift more towards Drifloon as of late, possibly even the Mega Gardevoir EX, to have some big damage output plays if it needs to, especially with those megas creeping around the format. Not so much having a huge stance here. It's more about the engine updates from our decks in Mega Evolution, but there is still the expectation that there's always going to be an Absol or a Kangaskhan popping up. Sometimes you need to have one hit potential into a Mega Gardevoir EX as well. So having that in mind with Gardevoir is what keeps it fresh and what keeps it coming back every tournament.
Yeah, it's just, as you say, it can just have so many options. I think on the way leaving the venue, I was chatting to some players yesterday saying, like, imagine Gardevoir can have Drifloon and Mega Guardian, just choose not to play it. Like, I have these options, I can one-shot anything in the format, but I don't need them. And here's the best of the rest. I think this Mega Kangaskhan, Mega Absol, Mega Kangaskhan deck is a really interesting scenario. I don't think we've ever seen something like this. Like, in the run-up to Milwaukee, it just didn't exist. And then, you know, toured Rec Level social media, made a bit of a hoo-ha about it. And then all of a sudden, it was now this force in Milwaukee, right? Like you say, a 50% conversion. But now it seems to have dropped off the cliff here in Lille. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, there's still a couple in that day two, but not many really in contention for our asymmetrical cut by the looks of things just now. As we do see some of that phase 2, that you can't see much of that Absol Kangaskhan, which had a phenomenal performance in Milwaukee and Belo Horizonte. I think it comes down to a few factors. First of all, the surprise factor of the archetype that had a lot of pitfalls, a lot of traps that it could lay for opponents that if they didn't quite know the list, they would fall straight into those traps and be in a really tough spot, especially with the likes of Penny, especially with the Absol coming in with Monkey Doors and whatnot. Sometimes having a slower turn was actually the best thing possible for the Kangaskhan Absol deck, and players are now privy to that, and they know where to target the archetype. Also, we have seen a little bit of text here and there. We've seen some Golden Go adapting. We saw Stefan playing Erica's Invitation as a supporter card in his deck list, so he had a tech card to get around Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon. The same thing could be said for the Charizards that are now oftentimes playing Klefki to shut down Psyduck, which means they can then use Dusknoir, which means they can still get through the 3 prize Pokemon. There's more type coverage coming into decks. We've even seen Terastal Hooper EX. And that's the main issue with these basic megas, is that they do have a decent chunk of hit points, but they do rely on hit point buff from tools and stadiums and whatnot. So it only takes a little few techs or still having type coverage to get over them in one hit. And that's the one thing the Absol Kangaskhan deck really doesn't want to face. It really relied on tanking.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. And we even see some Golden Go players that are opting for the Mega Lucario, a little thin Mega Lucario package, as we do look over at the best of the rest. And there is Mega Kangaskhan, so it has still stayed in that sort of 6th slot, as it were. But interesting, the Joltik toolbox and the Crustal. Why do we think, where's this Crustal popped up from them? We don't really hear much about it, but I mean, it is there, 3%.
There's always been murmurs, and it's always a risky choice because it's not ideal into Gardevoir. But I do think it got a little bit stronger into the Dragapult matchup. That was previously something holding it back because Dusknoir was such a headache for the deck. But now with Psyduck coming in, Crustal can have a slightly better time protecting the Psyduck, which then protects your Crustal that little bit more, making your Dragapult matchup far stronger. So I can see why it's still a risk for players. Trying to dodge Gardevoir is never an easy task, but it has so many other good matchups in the field, simply because people can't deal with multiple Crustle, especially when they're being buffed and healed and all this other stuff. Even its damage is modified with Monkey Dory. It's such a difficult deck to play against, and such a headache where other archetypes don't really want to commit that many slots just to deal with a low percentage deck.
Because the slots that deal with Crystal tend not to really help in other matchups.
Right.
Here's our conversion rates, though. Really interesting. So if you entered Lille as a Dragapult Dust Noir player, you had a 1 in 4 chance, essentially, at making phase 2. That is a really high conversion. Another one I'm really impressed with is the Marnie's Grimmsnarl Fastlash conversion. It didn't have as many people representing it, but again, a 23 conversion rate. Anything else jump out at you here, Joe?
Well, first of all, the Grimmsnarl does seem like, especially with the amount of Dragapult and Gardevoir in the field, I could feel like we could see some more of that archetype.
Yeah.
Same thing from the Enzorark that's not on our conversion just yet, but it's also really preying on our top couple of strategies. It's actually quite good into the Grimmsnarl as well, just because that's an archetype that can really punish these medium damage output decks and has that dark type coverage as well. But there is still a good amount of one-hit KO. It seems like it's shifted away from the basic, like the Terror Box and the Raging Bolt, and it's gone more towards the stage 1 approaches with that Ceruledge and Golden Go, both having some nice means of reaching ridiculous damage output to overcome some of these stage 2s in one hit. That's a critical component of why they're so strong in the format, and they both gained a huge chunk of additional card draw with that Solrock and Lunatone combination and early pressure as well. So they've definitely gone up a level in Mega Evolution. There's no doubt that they've gained consistency and good early game pressure whilst being able to maintain single prize board states. I think that's the key difference. Raging Bolt is always good at starting off a prize race. That's never a problem, but it often ends up having like 5 2-prize Pokemon in play. They open themselves up for counter catcher immediately, and these stage 2 decks can go on an easy 2-2-2, sort of chilling from behind, knowing they can catch up later on. Whereas the Ceruledge and the Golden Go, they can represent single prize board states for a lot longer and then pivot when they have to. That's what makes them more difficult to sort of pick apart, I would say.
Yeah, it's sort of like the opposite to the Raging Bolt, where, as you say, it gets off to the gates, gets out of the gates early, and then can potentially spot her off, where then the Golden Go and the Ceruledge, a little bit slower out the gates, but going to try and catch up much later on with a big, you know, KO right at the end of the game to get through your 300 plus hit point Pokemon. Golden Go is an interesting one though, because we saw at the World Championships we had the Joltik version. Haven't really seen that about.
No.
Why do you think that is?
We were both saying that we would have liked to see the build with the Iron Hands, where Joltik is the early option in the deck. Again, it lets you retain somewhat of a easy board where you just have this low 30 hit point Pokemon in the active, almost baiting your opponent to take this one out, knowing that you're powering up Iron Hands. And Iron Hands puts the clock on the Gardevoirs and the Dragapults and even the Grimmsnarls as well, because we know that amp you very much, so strong at taking additional prize cards on any single board state. And then the synergy comes in where the Iron Hands are such a threat, it has to be dealt with. That then plants 4 energy in the discard pile for you to then use your superiors with the Golden Go to catch up on. At that point in the game, your opponent should have developed some bigger threats. Golden Go can then churn through those. So I actually really love the synergy between this deck. The only thing is, it has a very routine game plan. And if that game plan is caught off kilter, it does seem to be a weaker strategy. So it's a much better deck going second. Every deck in the format wants to go second, so you don't always get your way. And secondly, if you happen to miss that Jolting charge, which is a bit of a combo, you need to get the Joltik into the active, also have Iron Hands ready as well. So that's going to require multiple ball search cards and a retreating option. Yes, the Brock Scouting normally gets you there with Latias and Miraidon, but these are still one-offs that could be prized. If that just doesn't come together, your deck really feels a lot weaker, because you still feel like you need to Jolting charge. There's not enough energy to just naturally draw with Golden Go if you want to pivot that strategy. So because it's a little bit one-dimensional, that might be putting some players off. Yeah,
no, that all makes sense. If you miss that Jolting charge, you are at that point a very objectively worse Golden Go deck for sure. Well, we mentioned that we saw this at the World Championships. You won the seniors division. We haven't actually had a good chance to look at the juniors and seniors metagame. I believe we have that ready, and I love looking at how the differences are. So let's have a gander. This is juniors phase 1. Dragapult Dust Noir coming atop there, 11%, and Raging Bolt coming in at 10%, so the second most represented deck. And then Gardevoir at 5. Interesting. Why do you think it's fallen like this?
Well, it's definitely one of the more complicated decks in the format, and that's something to be said for the juniors division. But also, I want to shout out 177 trainers in our juniors division. It's such a huge wave of players that we have competing at all of these age divisions. We really are ballooning in size for these majors. And also, you can see in phase 2, a bit of a switch up with the juniors, with Ceruledge coming out a little bit on top. And actually, what you mentioned, Shay, the Raging Bolt, it's had a pretty poor time of things. And I think that's more reflective of the metagame, with Ceruledge and Golden Go being the premium aggressive decks in the format that have that one-hit KO potential, because I think they just have a bit more trickery with their prize race than Raging Bolt.
Yeah, I think if you're the Raging Bolt player, I think it's much easier for a Server Ledge or Golden Go to KO you than it is for you to KO them. Like, let's say you KO them, they KO you. You're like, oh, I have to like get my energy after the Professor Sada. Like Server Ledge, just I need an energy, bro. And, damn,
I'm going again.
Yeah, I'm going again.
Yep.
So yeah, maybe Raging Bolt. Maybe, I mean, if the format develops as more Mega Evolution Pokemon come out, perhaps, and they're basic and they see a lot of play, then maybe that can, step back in. But I think for now, the stage ones definitely seem to be the premier one-shot decks I'm a fan of.
Yeah, I don't fear Raging Bolt. I feel like it's going to come back at some point. There's no question about that, especially if more Megas are introduced. But Serra Ledge, a good boast right now with both Briar and Legacy Energy. Let's see how it looks for the Seniors division then. Now Charizard is the most played individual archetype with Gardevoir just in tow and the Dragapult. So it looks like the stage 2s are still the pick for our Seniors here.
Oh yeah, look at that, top 3 decks, all stage 2s. Now Charizard EX has always been quite popular in Seniors. I've been keeping my sort of eye on that one.
Yep.
Gets that Lily's Determination, obviously just come off the back of Milwaukee. And I'm a big fan of Charizard EX, quite honestly. You know, just if you can hit that Charizard EX early, 330 hit points, for the most part, you're not getting through that quickly. Pidgeot just keeps you ticking over, and it's got some trickery in there as well. I mean, we just saw it perform super well in Milwaukee, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Charizard going well. Interesting to see the Joltik toolbox here, though.
Yeah.
Creep up there in phase 1.
Doing well in phase 2 as well, getting a really good choice. And I think it's one of the decks that's quite solid into that Charizard. It has type coverage with that grass typing, with Iron Leaves EX coming into the mix. So it can not only start off the game quickly with Amp you very much, but then can transition into some grass types, which can be pretty detrimental. Also, there's the opportunity for Iron Hands even to knock out a Pidgeot for 3 prize cards if you give it a damage modifier. The Future Boost Energy Capsule is one that springs to mind. So that can be a really solid metagame choice from some of our Seniors out here. Raging Bolt being a little bit sturdier in the Senior division, though, having a better time again might be a symptom of the amount of Charizard in the room, perhaps, where again there's great grass type coverage from the Raging Bolt, and again good early game pressure. You know, you can use your single prize Raging Bolt that can knock out early Pidgeys and really hinder the engine that a Charizard tries to get setting up. So bit of a nuance there to all of our age divisions. You can see that it's really important to keep an eye on all of these divisions if you are competing in any one of these age ranges. Knowing what your own division is sort of tending towards is a big deal. And I also think the Seniors division seems to be one of the most engaged player bases. Yeah. They have the time to play, they come home from school, they're playing their Pokemon, as we all did, and they keep an eye on what has just won, and that's part of the reason why there's so much Charizard this weekend. It's literally just won in the Masters division in Milwaukee, so suddenly people have the time to then test for a couple of weeks, get really competent with the deck, and then bring it to their next major tournament. That's something I've always seen about the Seniors division. They have their finger right on the pulse.
They're dialed in, and there's something to be said now. I think we're in the best era for information. You know, back when we started, you know, the information, it wasn't that readily available. Like, it's quite hard to find regional results at the most part, right? You would just build your deck, take your deck, you wouldn't even know what did well in the past. And now we can show you information from all age divisions. So all age divisions, as you say, can really keep their their finger on the pulse on the metagame and make really good educated decisions. Then that's why I love having a look at the juniors and seniors metagame, because there are essentially 3 different tournaments going on, right, in the TCG, and it's just, as you say, interesting to see the seniors really dialed in, and you see the metagaming in the metagame, like the Joltik toolbox can really take on those Charizards. We've even got the 1 prize Garvantula. He can have a crack as well, can't we?
Yeah, he has a good crack.
He can have a go. So yeah, I'm really intrigued to see how all that pans out, and I think I'll be trying to keep an eye out and see who managed to take all home in the other divisions as well.
Yeah, plenty of ghost types and ghouls in some of our best decks in the format. You look at Serra Ledge, you look at Golden Go, even Gardevoir has a Drifloon in there, there's Dracloaks and good old Duskline galore. And we're getting spooky this weekend. It's definitely a theme of the format, but also a theme of this weekend, is that we're getting spooky. So we have some more quizzing going on, Shay. I hope you're ready for this, because we were embarrassed yesterday.
Yeah, but by this man, that man right there, Gengar, he made us look a bit silly. Okay, but I'm here. I'm ready. Okay.
We've got something to prove today.
Yeah, we have.
We really do. So we've got to be on the button with this.
We didn't get a single one, right? Yeah,
here we go.
It spends most of its time sleeping in graveyards. Among other dog Pokemon, this one is the most loyal to its master. Okay, so we've got dog Pokemon graveyards. We've got Greavard and
Houndstone.
Houndstone.
Sure, we've got a coin flip.
It's got to be one of these.
If it's another dog Pokemon, I'd be very surprised.
Could be Houndoom. I don't think Hound is quite loyal.
Oh, if they're doing this again.
No.
They wouldn't.
They
wouldn't. I would go Houndstone, personally.
Houndstone.
We know that Grivard is also definitely likes the sort of friendship element, likes being friendly with its trainer as well.
Yeah,
and being most loyal.
Most loyal. I think if you're really feeling Houndstone, that's where my head went first of all.
Okay, let's go Houndstone.
I think we locked that in. Show me the Houndstone, please. Yes. We're on the ball.
That's one. That's one better than yesterday already. This is brilliant. This is absolutely incredible.
Okay.
Send us another. We're going to go flawless this time.
We're going flawless. We're going to get a single one wrong.
Right, possesses potential victims' shadows in an effort to steal away the victims' lives.
Voltamos ao calor. A gente amanheceu até meio nubladinho, aí depois começou a sair sol.
Hold of a protective charm.
Eu achei até que ia fazer pouquinho mais de frio.
Okay, so they're just reminding us.
Mas foi só pra enganar.
You think we were going to get that run wrong? I shouldn't have said anything, should I? I should have just said.
I was just going to take the dub and just say, well done. We've got it flawless and completely write off anything that happened yesterday.
Graças a Deus. É porque lá minha mãe fez a cagada de dividir a casa no meio. Querendo ou não, aquele corredor onde ela ergueu a parede era o corredor que conectava os dois lados, onde o lado de lá ventilava até melhor que o lado de trás. Então o lado de trás da casa virou um forno. Então na época o calor era horroroso, era muito quente. Muito quente. Aqui, cara, ainda dá pra tancar bem, tá? Esses dias fez 30 e poucos graus, tá ligado? Então aqui dentro de casa não tá sentindo tanto calor. Saia pra rua pra, sei lá, e ter que comprar no mercadinho e sentir que eu ia derreter, tá ligado? Então é melhor. E é bem mais de boa pra tancar calor.
The other choreos draw power from Malice though. Doesn't strike me as another choreo thing to do that, does it?
It's more of a cheerleader than a Malice bringer. I'm not thinking of many other dancers though. I think we...
Gothita, Gothitelle? Does Gothitelle dance?
Possibly. But again, is it trying to curse?
I don't know. This is hard production stuff. I'm beaming at me right now.
Or a choreo has to be our shout.
You think so? Ghost dance. I think I can't think of any other ghost dancing ones.
Let's go for that. Let's try.
Let's go for.
Yeah! Oh, yeah, that is out.
Come on!
That is huge. I was completely lost with that one. That's actually massive.
Come on.
What a win.
I love choreo. One of my favorite Pokemon.
We're on it today, Shay.
I'm more of the salsa one. I'm actually looking a bit like a salsa choreo today.
In cosplay. Right, here we go.
Antenna on its head captures radio waves from the world of spirits that command that.
Tem nego que fala, né, de calor, que é uma delícia e tal.
A train to the afterlife.
Tacar o cara, filha da puta, no sol de 50 graus pra tomar uma insolação, vê se ele fala isso, né?
What's that? Orbital? Does he? He probably doesn't get involved with this sort of stuff, I don't think.
Doesn't get involved. He doesn't get involved.
He leaves that to the other ones. Yeah.
Command it.
A Maria, ela passa muito mal no calor. Ela fica mal muito fácil.
I'm not thinking.
Calor afeta ela com uma facilidade absurda.
I mean, there probably are some.
I know chat is like, but Ghost. Yeah, well, sorry, when you're here on the headset with the headset on, it's quite tough.
Antenna. It doesn't always have to be a ghost though. Maybe it's like a steel ghost, and it's like more robotic ghosty.
What is
this? This is tough. Radio waves.
It captures radio waves.
Okay. Não terá pra ter jogado Iron Knight.
Radio waves are from the spirits.
Yeah. Wow, this has to be like.
I mean, I'm stumped. I know that. If that wasn't obvious, I'm really relying on Shay here. He pulled one out of the bag a moment ago.
I mean, lock kicks? I can't pronounce it.
Low kicks?
Yeah, but he's bug dark. Would he capture radio waves? I'm not sure.
I mean, he has an antenna, doesn't he? That could be your best bet here.
Really? I mean, he is a bit of a scary geezer. But is he Halloween geezer? I'm not sure.
Could go for it. I mean, I'm not thinking of much else here.
I think I'm getting told to hurry up. I think we might have to lock in. Should we go lock 6 then?
Yeah.
Or lock kicks, however you pronounce it. I don't think it is that though, but.
Oh, that's an antenna, is it?
Wow. Look, I have to lean forward to see that antenna. Really?
Okay.
Wowzers. So of all the things about Duster, the belly that opens up into a mouth, we're now talking about that little.
That bob.
Fair enough. You got me on that one.
I never would have got there.
Antenna on the heads, fair.
That is tough. A playable Pokemon as well. What a shame.
Yeah, but many playable. Do you remember the hand? Do you remember that one? Moving around damage count. Woo!
More than Sinister, that was.
Yeah, and we've got
so many
now. Yeah, so many.
Here we go. It lays trap. Okay, hold on. We've definitely had this as well.
No, you should have said anything.
Which one was this? This was the Gigantamax, was it not?
Yeah, because I said, how do you just accidentally walk into the mouth? Yeah, Gigantamax Gengar.
Yeah.
There we go. Come on.
The memory stuff, I suppose. Just about. We're struggling again.
Yeah, I don't know how you accidentally walk into that thing. I mean, aren't Gigantamax like the size of buildings?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
absurd. Just wandering in.
If you're on your phone, perhaps just.
I think we have one more.
While shining a light and pretending to be a guide, it leeches off the life force of any who follow it. Okay, now, I've looked into creepy Pokédex entries before. Do you know what this sounds like? This sounds like
deve ter cortado, tá ligado?
Because it like the people on the boats, it like calls them away and then has this wicked way with them.
Esperei pelo nome do RPG dele, vai lá e manda somente pra membros do canal. O cara quer marketar o dele, né?
Or possibly like or maybe
O cara
even
quer
the
marketar
likes
o
of a
dele, né?
Pumpkaboo or a
Gorgeist. Yeah, I think we'll go one of those. I
Ele
think.
percebeu que tem público grande. Resolveu ganhar uma grana em cima disso, né? É uma grana entre aspas, né?
I'm leaning towards like I don't think it's Chandler. I think
pra
it's
ser
more likely
membro ali, tem a parada ali da assinatura.
or Gorgeist or Pumpkaboo. I think I'm between.
Not been in Chandelure then.
É isso.
I think Chandler wouldn't really be a guide so much as the smaller
É
Pokemon.
sobre isso.
Okay, that makes sense. So I'm leaning more towards Gorgeist because of leeching.
Você que sabe disso, se você quiser ir, por mim não tem problema não.
I'd hate if this was a Pumpkaboo though.
Yeah. I meant I was leaning more towards that line.
Yeah.
Where's Amy?
Só tô
She probably
assistindo
knows
aqui
this
o
one.
I want to go Pumpkaboo just because.
Pumpkaboo?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that.
Pumpkaboo.
Don't be jealous. Sir.
Tá vendo aí o regional. Depois disso aí, eu não sei se eu vou ver até o fim também.
Shining light, yeah. We duped ourselves with that one.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Fair play to you though. But, I mean, you basically got it.
Almost.
Like a half point.
Yeah, I was in the mix. I was in the mix. Well, not too shabby overall.
Worth asking. We'll take it.
It was much more frightening yesterday. We were like sweating up here. We were fuming with our shit.
É porque senão aí o conteúdo pago fica na mesma merda. Tipo, você vai divulgar o conteúdo todo do cara, divulgar não, né? Você vai vazar, mesmo que seja por react. O conteúdo todo do cara não tem porquê o cara fazer conteúdo sendo pago, tá ligado? Preciso ter a boost.
Even at the top tables.
Sim.
I think you can actually already get that stuff.
Yep.
Play it on live as well.
Aí não dá, né? Eu ia falar isso também. Não dá. Precisa ter, porque é online, né? Ainda assim é como se fosse online.
Prize cards being taken from opponents, and that's always been historically very good in the TCG.
Oh, 100%. So what I need you to do, viewers, after the stream, of course, get down to your local game store, which you should be doing anyway, getting involved with your local league, let's be honest. But while you're there, see if you can get your hands on the Mega Gengar EX battle deck, because it's going to be an awkward one. It's definitely one that has a lot of meta potential, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it doing well. But how about we get back down here to Lille, Phase 2? You know, we're going to be getting into our action coming up real soon. I think we have a pretty good matchup. I don't want to spoil it too much here, but we've got a pretty cool matchup coming up soon as well. But I think we're actually ready to get involved, I think I might have just heard, with our next round.
Yep, our players are sat at the table. We've got a couple of familiar faces to the broadcast as well. James Cox and Drew Stevenson, two players who have got a long list of accomplishments. I know James from way back a few years ago doing the World's Run with Palkia. Had a really good, solid performance there and has continued to have great results. As we can see a few more of his accomplishments coming in here. Also a top 8 in the seniors division. Of course, has won the Lille Regional Championships as well previously and had a recent EUIC top 8. Definitely among a really top core testing group. Comes up with some really ingenious lists. And is once again on something a little bit different, I would say, Shay.
Oh, really? Oh, I've not had a chance to have a little gander. Let's introduce Drew Stevenson, though, to the mix. EUIC finalist as a senior, World Top 32 senior, Frankfurt Regional Top 8. That was just a couple months ago, weeks ago. And Stockholm Regional Top 8 as well. And I bet if you was to ask him right now, do you want to turn one of those top 8s into a finalist or a champion? I bet he would. So he wants to try and get the win here. And it looks like the dice roll was concluded. I think Drew said he's going second. This is quite funny because you know the metagames seem to go in shifts, right? Where a lot of players want to go first.
Pokémon geralmente eu jogo mais os jogos eletrônicos e o TCG mesmo, né? O jogo de cartas.
I will get that most of the time.
And it's a matchup where
Quando
James is going to be playing with this
bem antes
see that he's got the Absol Kangaskhan archetype. A few different cards in there from what we've seen previously, but that's definitely one to watch. Definitely one of the archetypes that many people
mas o Y é basicamente o Charizard mesmo, só muda pouco o formato dele, mas é a mesma cor, a mesma ideia de conceito do Charizard
new
normal.
toy and saying that this is a great choice for his tournament, and right now looking to be the
Eu
case
acho
on a
engraçado
9-2-1
o X ter a versão
record.
preta.
Drew is going to be playing the
Ele fica
Golden
preto
Go
do nada,
build
tá
with
ligado?
the Solrock and Lunatone package in there as well, but is also opting to play one Mega Morwile EX, Shay. That could completely shake up this matchup.
Yeah, really interesting card, a really interesting type, which you don't really see too often in the Pokemon TCG. For 2 energy gobble down, does 80 damage for each prize card you have taken. Now, when you're playing an early one-hit KO deck like Golden Go, you could just, you know, take 4 prize cards, gobble down, but right, at some point for 2 energy, bish bash bosh, that's going to be the game. It's a card I'm actually really familiar with, so I try my hardest to make Metang work. It hasn't been good enough to make that work, I'll be honest, but it is a very interesting card nonetheless, and I wonder if we'll see it here.
Well, possibly this was put into the deck list in parts to be an answer to Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon, which is often seen in the Absol Kangaskhan deck. So much so that Drew's actually playing TM Turbo Energize in the list. So he could power up a Morwile early, not actually using its gobble down attack, going for the huge bite with a 260 base instead.
But it looks like, oh, but it's in the prize cards anyway. But there's another interesting card there for James, the Ace Nullifier Genesect. A card which I'm surprised doesn't see as much play as I think it should. They've had a tool card attached. It stops your opponent from playing any Ace specs. But we are getting started. Swiss round 13 here at Lille. James Cox is going to kick us off there with that Yveltal free retreat cost, might I say, in active position. Going to bench a Monkey Dory. And it looks like can't really see much else. It's just going to be the pass.
Eu achei bem mais ou
mentioned
menos.
that the Mega Morwile is in the prize cards. Don't threat just yet for Drew, because James isn't actually playing a build with the Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon. He's decided to cut those from the deck list, expecting people to pounce on it as Drew has. Instead, he's playing a couple copies of Eri, the supporter card. That's going to be one to watch throughout the entire set, because we know that Golden Go can easily reach high damage knockouts, but it often requires that superior energy retrieval to help get there. So with James's build not going down the direction of Cornerstone, it's going to be a completely different dynamic to perhaps what we've seen previously with this matchup.
There is a very devastating card, supporter card. Look at your opponent's hand, grab any 2 items you find, just discard them. As you say, that's going to be fine at ripping out Ace specs, superior energy retrievals, and all that. While Drew is concluding his turn, let's have a quick rundown of that Golden Go EX deck, just in case you don't quite know how it works. It's quite a simple one, to be honest with you. Golden Go EX, make it rain for 1 energy. You can discard as many basic energies from your hand. You do 50 for each one you do. And now for Mega Evolution, it has a fantastic new card to draw cards, Lunatone. As long as you have Soul Rock in play, Lunar Cycle, discard a fighting energy from your hand to draw 3. So there's like a couple mini game plans. Get as many Golden Go EX out as you can, because they also draw cards via his ability coin bonus, draw some more cards with Lunatone, and then use superior energy retrieval to get those cards back into your hand to do some big make it rains.
Looks like Drew is just going to nest out a second Gimme Ghoul and go for a minor errand running for his turn. He is holding on to a Genesect EX in the hand, so next turn he shouldn't have too much issue getting into his Golden Go EX. So all things considered, this is a pretty decent turn. And also we have to bear in mind that because James has already started with his clutch Yveltal, that Drew is going to have to be careful about even if he should put the Solrock and Lunatone package into play, because we know that Lunatone is far from an ideal attacker.
Now here we see a recent addition to this deck, the Tatsuguri, that attracts customers' ability. When it's in the active spot once per turn, look at the top 6 cards of your deck. You can grab any support you find there, put it in your hand, shuffle the rest of the cards. So it's almost like a free Pokegear every turn. It only gets 1 card less, but you know, when your Yveltal has 3 retreat costs and you're using Petulant and all that, it's not hard to maneuver it around, as it looks like attracting
Aí vai
customers.
ficar literalmente muito polarizado já em cima do Eevee, que já tem muita coisa. Por mais que o Eevee seja bichinho popular, muito popular.
Yes, it's going to get instantly played.
Poderia ter uma mega evolução do Eevee, aí realmente concordaria que poderia ser interessante uma, assim. Mas pra cada fase eu acho um exagero do caralho.
Within Absol Kangaskhan, it's going to be that precious trolley. So from 1 Arven, immediately you can fill your board with basic Pokemon. The entire deck is built around these basics, and at the same time you can grab that critical TM Turbo Energize, and that's going to be a way that you can start powering up these Mega Evolution Pokemon. Both Kangaskhan and Absol have 3 energy attacks, as we do obviously see the precious trolley coming in here, and the TM Turbo Energize. So getting towards these Mega Evolution Pokemon as quickly as possible is definitely going to be vital for James. Although he has to be a little bit fearful because he's up against an archetype that can easily take 1-hit KOs.
Yeah, so Joe, while James is concluding this and probably going to do the Turbo Energize, why don't you talk us through this deck, how it works, what he's going to try and do throughout the course of the game?
So it is a toolbox strategy. So typically your board state changes based on every matchup that you're coming up against. In this approach, I have to feel like, because there isn't the Cornerstone Mask Ogre EX that's normally trying to wall out the Golden Go, instead what you're trying to do is simply catch crucial cards out of your opponent's hand. That's naturally going to come to the fruition via the Claw of Darkness attack from that Mega Absol EX, which is at 200 damage and also discards a card of your choice from the opponent's hand. If you can combine that with Eri, you're going to cherry pick a bunch of crucial item cards from the opponent. So
Mas também achei meio estranho.
Component, but then also you can start pivoting into potential trapping strategies with
A real é que eu, no geral mesmo, não gosto muito de Mega Evolução. Acho o conceito interessante, mas pra mim é tanto faz, tá ligado? Eu não sou tão fã, pessoalmente, de Mega Evolução,
There's already Monkey Dory in the mix as well, so you can get really creative with this deck.
As we do see that Turbo Energize concluding. 2 energy attached to Mega Absol is over to Drew, who's going to evolve his coin bonus. Lets you draw 2 cards if the Golden Go is in the active. If it's on the bench, you can draw 1. So another 3 cards drawn here for Drew. 4 if you include the top deck. Gonna have a little consult on Mega Absol there, just have a little gander. But the thing is, James might not even know that there is no Cornerstone, right? Yeah, you have no reason. You've already seen fighting energies. You know there's going to be something along those lines. So, but there isn't. He isn't to know. So I wonder, you know, it's interesting because we have perfect knowledge. But the players do not. We're going to see a turn attachment to the active Golden Go.
The Team
Rockets Petrol. Yeah. I love this card. Basically lets you grab any trainer you like from your deck. Long-term players, think of Skylar from back in the day. It's essentially the same. And in a deck like Golden Go, where you just want to try and get your superior energy retrievals or your ace spec, fighting Gong, Earth and Vessel, Petrol just grabs you that.
Yeah, you're quite a low maintenance deck, but you have some crucial pieces. And in this case, the Earthen Vessel is going to give us a critical mass of energy to play with to knock out this Tatsugiri.
Cara, pior que a parada do Gigantamax eu até entendo também, tá ligado?
This Tatsugiri to then stash energy in the
Não sou muito de me importar, não. Eu acho que o Gigantamax eu enxergo até de forma mais da hora do que a própria Mega Evolução. A diferença é que você não é só deixar o bicho gigante, sabe? Meio ok também, sabe? A real é que todas essas mecânicas que começaram a colocar do 3DS pra frente eu achei mais ou menos. A única que eu achei, tipo, pô, isso aqui já podia ter tido faz tempo e é maneiro. Ela só esteticamente é estranha, é o Terra. Que é mudar basicamente a propriedade do ataque, né, do Pokémon. Tá ligado? O Terra é maneiro. Só não precisava ter um cristalzão na cabeça do bicho lá, parecendo um chafariz, tá ligado? Mas a ideia do Terra é maneiro. Mas o resto, tipo, essa pra mim é tudo mais ou menos.
Claw of Darkness against Golden Go, they're gonna see another 3 card straight away. Yeah. With the coin bonus.
The good news is that Drew is playing the Secret Box Ace spec and not the Energy Search Pro. I think in any build of Energy Search Pro Golden Go, they easily burst through a Mega very, very quickly. I think with these new age builds with Soul Rock and Lunatone, there's some possibility that you still can't knock out this Absol this early on in the game.
No, for sure.
There hasn't been that many draws just yet. So we're hoping that with the buff of Bravery Charm, this Absol could sit out of range. There's going to be a
sempre tem, né? Mas Rayquaza é dos queridinhos da galera. É igual você falar se alguém normalmente não gosta do Mewtwo, tá ligado? Não gosta do Charizard, não gosta do Greninja. Esses são os popularzinhos que geralmente são acima, né, do ranking de popularidade, além dos padrões assim, né?
So it's just making life awkward, as we did say with James opted to play copies of Eri. You can really see that he wants to be a hand lock. Buddy Poffin was the top deck.
Pretty handy one. You want to get as many Golden Go as possible.
We know Genesect was in the hand as well, obviously, so you might not put it down exactly this turn, but next turn put it down, immediately evolve up your Golden Go.
Yeah, it's going to thin towards ideally better draws because Drew isn't close to knocking out this Absol just yet. There's only a couple of fighting energy in the hand right now, possibly as many as 3. So ideally, we draw into another Arven or another supporter card that can be useful. Even something like a Professor Torres scenario.
A liga de ruim, né? A liga dele, no geral, eu gosto bastante.
And if Drew can hold off from putting any other liability Pokemon into play, he can spend these Turo not to pick up annoying Pokemon, but to heal instead, buying himself a turn. Let's see the first coin bonus for 2 cards here.
Here we go. 1, 2, Soul Rock Energy.
Some extra energy cards. We're getting close. We're at 4 energy in the hand. We can't move this Golden Go, though, so we have one more draw from coin bonus. I think something like Turo or Arven would be required now.
Yeah, here we go. One more from the coin bonus. Ooh. Another Soul Rock.
Soul Rock.
Oh.
So 2 of the Soul Rock, none of the Lunatone. One was discarded from Earthen Vessel on a previous turn.
Yeah, that's not super ideal. Super. I'm probably going to shuffle in the energy. Okay. Opting to leave the Lunatone there. Super odd, letting you shuffle in any combination 3 basic energy or Pokemon back into your deck. Drew said,
Ué, se eu já
I just want those
votação,
fighting energy
não.
back.
É porque eu
Yeah, I guess
desejei
it's
a
a use it or lose
votação,
it
né?
situation.
Yeah.
You might be thinking, I'm
O
going to get that
Arceus
Super
nem
Rod
era
down
tão
my hand
absurdo,
if
não.
Right.
Ele
play
era
right
bom
now.
quando ele jogava,
As
tinha o deck
possibly the most
dele,
valuable card
mas
in
não
the
era
hand.
tão absurdo, não.
I'm not sure
Ele
if
era
there's any
bom.
metal energy
Não
in the
era nada
hand
tão
for Drew. If
ridículo,
there is,
não.
he might just be putting a small... Yeah, there is one metal, so he can put a decent
Mas ele era
chunk into
legal,
this
ele era
Absol.
legal.
And then there'll still
Funcionava.
be a decent amount of fighting energy in the discard pile for his future superior energy retrievals. In a weird way, because Drew hasn't drawn... Oh, just
a pass. I guess if you put damage in, it could just get penny, but then you remove all the energy at the same time.
That's what's still tempting,
So,
yeah. I was about to say that your hand is so weak that you actually encourage more attacks from the Absol in a way, right?
Yeah,
because you say, I'm not fearful of anything out of this hand because it's all pretty weak.
Yeah. Nesball is going to grab that Mega Kangaskhan. I haven't had a chance to look at that yet. Has the error... Well, what's the ability called? Errand something.
Run errand.
Run errand. When it's in the active spot, you can draw 2 cards. And worth knowing, we've seen in Milwaukee, that rapid-fire combo attack can really come up for 3 energy, 200 damage. Flip a coin until you get tails. 50 for each heads.
And at this stage, with Drew already taking 1 prize, why not put a second Mega Evolution into play? Because your opponent's basically never going to try and go through both of them. They're both very chunky Pokemon. Here comes Petrunce, bringing the Yveltal into the active with Subjugating Chains. One of the really neat combos of this deck. So you can just go into drawing mode. We are going to retreat now, so Run Errand will draw us 2 cards, and I think that means we probably have a penny from James this turn.
Yeah, pennies in the hand.
Pick up the Kangaskhan.
Yeah, we saw that one. And that's that really interesting combo you can use with Petulant and then Yveltal. Like, it's very easy to get Mega Kangaskhan in the active turn. Attachment to the Yveltal, worth noting, it has that clutch attack. 20 damage, stop your opponent retreating. We see that all over the format, and it's good here. But there is the penny, going to remove that Yveltal into the active. So, we're seeing a clutch then.
Does look to be the case. I was a little surprised that James had the opportunity to go up in prize cards and then could start attaching energy to Petulant and say that now I'm ahead with Absol. Even if you knock it out, I then have Petulant to follow up, and then I have Blood Moon to follow up, something along those lines. But now James is stashing energy across multiple and just trying to buy time, saying that Drew's on a bit of a weak hand. He's going to wait and try and deal with the Absol in 1 hit. So why not get a little bit more chip damage in while I can?
Drew did top deck a boss's orders for what it's worth.
Yeah.
That could be scary. We still see, what, a minimum 3 extra cards from coin bonus. Does have the Genesect in hand, so you could immediately evolve up the Golden Go. That would be a clutch target, though, so we've got to keep that in mind. We're going to see the active coin bonus now, so that's 2 cards.
Ah, não, mas aí você tá falando do jogo, né?
So in the
Tipo,
discard pile, what
DCG é
sort
uma
of things
coisa,
is Drew looking for here, Joe?
Tipo, DCG,
Well,
levado em
aware of some key
consideração
cards. Energy
como é
Switch
o
is one of those
poder
key
do
item
Pokémon
cards that we know the
exatamente,
Absol
né?
Kangaskhan player
Nos
can
jogos
hold
ou
on
na
to
lore,
and use at the right time. So
nenhum
any
deck
energy
bateria
drop
de
can then
frente
be
com algum deck que
shimmied
tem
onto some of
lendário,
these
tá
other
ligado?
Pokemon. That's where you can get really surprising attacks in with
Seria
the
muito
likes of
difícil,
Petulant
né?
later on in
E
games.
não é o que acontece
So
no
that's something
TCG.
I'd be keeping in mind. I suppose
O jogo
also
de
keeping
carta
an
é
eye on any
realmente uma
support played on
estratégia mais
previous turn.
voltada para um
It was just a
bichinho.
penny for James.
E aí ela funciona ou não,
In the
tá
last
ligado?
card of coin bonus was a
Claro, geralmente, quando tem um deck voltado a um lendário, o lendário geralmente é forte.
That's what, 5 energy in hand now, I think.
Mas nem sempre ele é muito
Allowing you
bom,
to
assim, o
boss's
deck
orders
dele
and
é
KO
muito
the
bom, não.
Petulant EX, as it only has 190 hit points.
Eu mesmo tenho 6
And I think
decks de
that combination is
Pokémon,
coming to the hand now for Drew.
nenhum deles é de
It would put him
lendário.
just 1 knockout of a Mega
Nenhum
away
deles é
from winning this
focando em
game
Pokémon
#1.
lendário, basicamente.
There's the boss orders into the Petulant, as you say.
And
4 energy in
pretty
hand.
sure there's nothing else to play here. Just throw the 4 energy down.
There we
that
go.
also sets you up nicely for a superior energy retrieval later on, and actually might be picking one off his prize cards here. Got to see if he can pick up that Morwile as well. That's also in the prizes, as we mentioned right at the start.
Yeah.
If he is able to take that, it's going to be huge for him.
Yeah, looks like didn't quite get to see what prize cards he's taken there, but we'll get an update on that. Is over to James. Going to promote the... Oh, he did not take the Mega Morwile, unfortunately, but James did promote the Mega Kangaskhan. So you get the run errand. Fantastic ability, isn't it, really? Just drawing cards, just having a basic Pokemon in the active, you'll take that. Flip the script, that's another 3. It's an extra 5 cards a turn, Joe. That's ridiculous.
It's a lot. And James has picked up both Iono and Pokegear. He's going to run Errand first. You might be looking for Eerie instead.
I was about to say, when the best time to launch these handlock strategies is when your opponent has just taken prize cards. They haven't had a chance to filter stuff out the hand yet, so you could try and just rip stuff. Did take a superior energy retriever out of the prizes, did as well, so you could Eerie that immediately and say, well, you've only got 3 to play the rest of the game with. Actually prize the second one, but only have 2.
Ooh, doesn't hit it from the first Pokegear. I believe James has a second one in the hand, though, so can try once again to pick one of his 2 of Eerie out of the deck. Has drawn a decent chunk of cards already this turn.
Yep.
Drawing 5 from abilities, then seeing an additional 7 from that Pokegear. Now just has to shuffle everything and have one more chance at it.
And the thing is, if you're Drew, you're not playing around Eerie. There's no way you play around there. That's not something that I think is super common in these lists, no?
It's a strange thing because the deck's still so new that there has been some online placements of a build with Eerie.
Oh, okay.
So I think, I don't know,
and I guess
an engaged player like Drew, I have to give him the credit to think that he's thought about this.
I guess it's already a hand-ripped deck with Mega Absol anyway, so...
And when you don't see the cornerstone, it's a bit of a telltale sign that your opponent's got some other avenue here.
I see the bench Latias.
He's definitely taking a think here. He's holding on to Countercatcher. He's going to bring up the next Gongo.
Okay.
And it is going to be just the Iono here. So perhaps there wasn't any extra Pokegear. No, just a bunch of supporters. So James going to have to give himself a fresh 6 here. Drew just down to 3 cards. But this is where Absol starts getting more and more dangerous. As you can Iono your opponent down, you can then claw away the best card of just a 3-card hand, leaving Drew essentially just having to draw with Gongo to put himself out of a rut.
And you would have put all the potentially good cards straight down to the bottom, so unless the deck can get manipulated, we won't be able to draw into them. So let's see, we are going to see the free retreat thanks to Latias Skyliner into the Claw of Darkness. I would imagine 200 damage. It gets a good number, you know, you can't absorb too many of them. Nestball, Air Balloon, Basic Energy.
I feel like Air Balloon feels like the best choice to remove here.
Eu acho do balão, né? Também, eu tirei do balão
and it would be 1 fewer energy required for a knockout because of energy on both of his bench Gongo.
It's over to Drew now, though. Can see what, an extra 4 cards with coin bonus. Not bad. We've just been Iono down to 3. But yeah, like the longer the game goes on, the more Mega Absol starts to get favored, I think, because these 200s are going to get added up, you know. We see Professor Churro already, but chances of you being able to play Professor Churro with a hand size so small isn't quite ideal. There's a coin bonus for 2, though. Oh, there's Professor Churro, and there's that 2 Professor Churro.
Boss's orders, I think. Is that a vessel in the hand as well? We are getting dangerously close, folks. Just 1 knockout on this Mega Absol, and it's game over. It's going to be the Earthen Vessel first, getting rid of a Professor Churro. I can grab additional energy. There's not much remaining in the deck, but still just enough to take out.
This also shuffles the deck. There was a superior energy retrieval in the hand before the Iono, so we're going to shuffle that back up. Oh, and we have a lot of coin bonus to go. You can still draw into another Golden Go as well, of course.
Yeah, there's still a few coin bonuses, but by getting rid of your Professor Churro, you now draw less from your next couple coin bonus, unless we can draw back into a pivot. So it's still not easy for Drew to take the knockout here. Definitely possible.
Definitely possible. Got quite a few outs.
The Superior would be the most critical card to find here from a couple of draws.
I think was there 2 in deck, I believe. One's prized.
One of the prize cards, yeah. I don't think... Oh, yeah, 1 has been played earlier, has it not? Possibly not, actually. I think it was Super Rod, so there's still 3 in the deck.
Superior Energy Retrieval. Oh, my goodness. That Superior Energy Retrieval. Oh, there's the Professor Churro as well.
I think we're getting there, Shay.
I think we are. How many do we need to take a big...
We need 7 energy now, and I think the Superior does it.
Yeah, I think we're there. So there's 4. There's 3 in hand, right? Yeah, there we go. The big make it rain. Drew Stevenson taking game 1 here in our Swiss round 13 feature match. Everybody close the windows here in the venue because it's starting to rain. Drew takes game 1. And that's the thing when you're playing against Mega Evolution decks. You can just take a couple sneaky prizes here, there, burst through 1 Mega Pokemon, and that's all she wrote.
Big puff of the cheeks there from Drew, going 1 game up. Let's see how he got there in this game number 1. really, really good bench management from Drew. Very often you'll see going wide, getting that Sorok Unitone early, getting that Genesect down. It was in hand from the very beginning, Shay. But instead, Drew saying,
ele gosta de andar.
Let me just maintain a board of just the Golden Go and power through what I need. With enough draw power on the board, you can still make it very handy. James trying to get a little bit creative with this damage, Shay. I think possibly just trying to play around the likes of Serendipity EX as best he can. Try and set up damage across multiple Pokemon, keep Ino on his side. But Drew here, with enough coin bonus, was still able to create a really nice situation where the previous KO lined up this superior energy retrieval to give him back as much as 200 damage that then added to the energy already in hand to reach on that Mega Absol EX.
And that's the thing when you're trying to do like these hand discard strategies against a deck that inherently just draws not 4 or 5 cards a turn. Just by having your attacker in play, right? It's a little bit hard. Like against a lot of other decks, Ino to 3 plus a hand rip, that probably, you know, at least slows them down a single turn. You definitely don't expect your Mega to get, you know, one hit KO'd after that.
That is the power of the Golden Go, and just fortunate that Drew didn't have any of his superiors clawed away.
Oh, Precious Trolley in the prize card. 2 Mega Absol?
That is 2. That's his 2 copies.
What's that other dark Pokemon as well? And the Yveltal.
That's his only 2 copies.
Precious Trolley, Mega Absol, Eri, Yveltal in the prize
card. Aquele prize ali cagou muito ele, velho.
Wowzers! That's not what you want, and you're going into a game 2. I can tell you that for free.
Aquele prize inicial ali fudeu ele
bonito. James already a game down. Half an hour on the clock, but we just saw the strategy he employed was all in on that Mega Absol. And when you're not able to take away those key resources, you're
I was about to say it's going to be some, what's the attack called? Wham Bam Punch. That was the Mega Rapid Fire combinations. Need to flip 2 heads for that. Need to flip 2 heads to get through a Golden Go.
It may not even be good for you to take knockouts. It opens up, flip the script, and then you can be bopped right back. Flip some tails.
Just play 2 copies of your battle, actually. Okay, so we can perhaps
still clutch.
Slow the game down a little bit.
We're going to need to.
Wow.
You're off to a good opener, though. Double Gimme Ghoul already. With the Artisan choice, because once again, to remind you, Artisan not a common inclusion, but this is a secret box build of the Golden Go. And when you're playing secret box, you may as well have access to Artisan to get yourself into the game.
I think, to be fair, worth noting for Drew as well, did prize 2 copies of Gimmighoul. We sort of skipped over that one. So these 2 Gimmighoul, I should say, that Drew has in play. These are only 2 until some get liberated from the prize cards. We just got so distracted by the Precious Trolley plus 2 Mega Absol combination.
And the area as well.
And an area, That's dangerous prize cards.
And James is about to get the bad news. His action passes over to him. His first action might be Nest Ball or Artisan, and that's where he's going to find out that he's prized a big portion of his attacking suite.
Everybody keep an eye on that camera, James Cox. I mean, maybe he might try and, like, you know, poker face it and not try and give away that the prize cards are disastrous, but they definitely are, folks. Make no mistake
about it. It's hard to hide it as well. Like, it's hard to cover the situation. Blood Moon Ursaluna being a card he's considering.
I think he's just checking the Pokemon right now, isn't he?
Yeah.
And like, wait a minute. Because
we're not even in Plan B. We're in Plan C and D already here, just from the prize cards.
So, how do you think this matchup? How is he going to try and approach this now then with both the Mega Absol? We saw how important it was for him in Game 1. Are we just trying to use not Wham Bam Punch, Rapid Fire combo, or?
Yeah, I suppose. And then still try and lead into Blood Moon, Ursaluna, and Pecharunt. I feel like that's why we saw some like little clutch pokes coming in as well.
Yeah.
If you can clutch your way towards Blood Moon being a useful attacker or Pecharunt being a useful attacker, you almost have to play like a 2-on-1 prize deck and almost entirely ignore your Mega, unless Kangaskhan's going to be the first thing you power up, and then you still try and turbo energize to other stuff here.
You've got Irritated Outburst that from the Pecharunt can come up at some point. 60 for each prize card your opponent has taken. There is the Nest Ball for the American card. And you think, if you're Drew, you're thinking, hang on, is Nest Ball for that? Is that actually your first target? Like, do you think Drew could already be working out things aren't ideal for James here?
Possibly. I think the only thing that's not sus yet is that it hasn't been like an Arven for a Nest Ball. It's just raw Nest Ball right now. And sometimes you still start with the Kangaskhan because you know you can draw cards from it. So it's an indication of possibly a weak hand, not necessarily a catastrophic prize situation.
Okay. Turbo Energize, basic energy. Attached to the bench Yveltal. You can't use subjugating chains from the active, can you?
Yeah, you can change
you can.
the bench into the active.
Okay.
You can also retreat the Yveltal and still Errand Run and then Penny here, if you wanted to. penny your way back into. But no, we are just going to turbo energize. Keep the penny around. You might need that to pick up some Pokemon. If your opponent tries to take a single prize, they can take the 2 prizes out of play and make life a little bit more awkward.
Okay.
James not sat on a great hand.
No, there wasn't a support in that hand, was there?
No. And he is at least able to power up this Mega Kangaskhan EX, but Drew straight away evolves into a Gongo EX on his side. Only has the 1 energy to speak of right now, but is holding on to Arven and can begin to draw some cards here with coin bonus.
I think did have a Lunatone in the hand as well, so could start trying to use the Lunar Cycles.
I think that was the Earthen Vessel pickup as well. That's a really nice draw.
Earthen Vessel pickup as well.
Yeah.
But I just got the Lunatone though from that. Maybe, is there something to be said he doesn't really want to use the Lunatone?
Yeah,
he's a clutch target.
Yeah, he's still just so fearful of clutch. He doesn't want to be in a situation where a Claw of Darkness rips away a Turo, then suddenly you're running low on those resources. So he's just going to forego these Pokemon if he can help it.
Love that, getting the discard pile there. It's safe.
And with the Poison Tick from Subjugating Chains, actually.
Oh, just 2 energy.
It should be easy to knock out. Yeah, I think we have the knockout on board now with the 1 energy already in the hand. Wow. So
James is kind of in top deck city. I guess we'll have the run errand ability actually as well, but
it's treacherous, no doubt about it though.
It's not looking.
There's going to be energy stashed in the discard pile for Drew. There's not any disruption coming his way. So yeah, he's got to be feeling pretty good about the situation. James going to be pretty fearful. He's not quite resigned, but he definitely had a big lay back in his chair when he saw what his prize cards were looking like.
Yes. Oh, wow. Okay, good. We're going to do this on stream as well, yeah? Okay. Yeah, everyone can see. As we are going to see, including the Earthen Vessel plus Air Balloon combination.
Temos transmissão BR disso, cara. Você tá falando restream desse campeonato mais versão BR? Ou você tá falando se quando tem campeonato BR, os caras fazem transmissão?
As well for the same reason, the Lunatone, right? So, which Drew had the Genesect in hand for multiple turns in game 1 and definitely chose not to do it, which is 100% the correct decision. There's the turn attachment, 2 energy in hand, make it rain, thanks to the poison damage from Subjugating Chains. That is a KO.
Pokémon em geral. Então, quando tem campeonato BR, você tá querendo dizer, né? Tipo, aqui no Brasil. Ah, não. Isso aí tem. Isso aí tem, só que não é oficial. Tá ligado? Não é oficial. Entendeu?
There was a Genesect off the very least. Here comes the Artisan, which can search Psyduck's prize. I mean, we wouldn't put it down anyway. Monkey Dory, Tatsuguri, perhaps that might be Monkey Dory though.
I feel so sad being hopeful that you can somehow not be knocked out, and especially last game we saw Drew happy to pass into a Pokemon rather than set themselves up for Monkey Dory shenanigans. So I think Drew already knows.
Porque aqui é o canal, apesar de não mostrar, mas deixa eu descer lá. O canal oficial mesmo de Pokémon no YouTube, tá vendo? Obviamente, stream oficial do cara.
Let's thin the deck first and just draw a couple. Do we see any Eri here? Any counter catcher.
I mean, you are behind, to be fair, for what it's worth. You could rapid fire KO the Gimmighoul. Worth noting, Drew did take a Gimmighoul out of the prize cards actually, so let's see what opts to do here.
Yeah, we're flipping coins.
Oh, here we go.
Fire combo.
2 heads, a big ticket KO. Oh, that's 200.
How about just the 200 then?
200. But as you did say, not... I mean, it's not great, but...
And Drew already prepped the Earthen Vessel on the previous turn. So we're already getting pretty close to a 300 damage knockout here. That's all that's required to take another 3 prize swing here for Drew.
That would be...
1 in hand already, Vessel in hand, and Superior in hand. I think we're just 1 energy away already from this hand. That's before a supporter use.
Here we go.
2 big cards for coin bonus.
Genesect, Superior.
I think at this point of the game, you can put Genesect EX down just to get extra Gongo. Because if you are able to take this knockout, you have to expect some hand disruption to come your way, and that's a bigger threat than anything else at this stage. Yeah. There's no sign of Absol. You know you have Turos that can help you close the game. If you put the Genesect down, you know you can pick it up later. There's already the Arven in hand, so I'm pretty sure we're cruising to another KO here.
Yeah, I think the KO is almost a certainty at this point. Devastating for James to try and deal with. The turn 3 KO. But there is the Air Balloon. Earthen Vessel number 2.
4 vessels.
Wow. This is going to be a big KO here.
It'll be painful. There'll be a few discards in the mix, and we've only ever seen 1 Gongo so far. With a discard of Metal Energy, you know that's free because you can Superior this back anyway. So that's not an issue. It's essentially a free discard.
This is... Wow. I'm loving this. Here we go. There's the earthen vessel again. Grab 2 more energy. Drew's going to hop off to an immediate prize advantage here. Going down to 2 prize cards remaining after this turn.
The only grace being given to James right now is that Drew will be going down to 2 prize cards. There's only 1 golden go in play. Drew immediately is also shutting that door now with the Genesect. You can evolve one of these Gimme Ghoul, I believe, into another quick coin bonus. But James, there's already a pre-damaged golden go. You can get in the mix, try and hand this up, try and find Blood Moon or Saluna. It's asking for a lot here. But you know your back's against the wall. Drew just doing everything he can to put himself in a more secure position. He's already looking like a great knockout, and just 1 more KO after this Kangaskhan will be the game. And
this is where it's what separates good players from great players. Even though you are ahead, there's still multiple things you can do to like manipulate your deck, thin your deck, just to make try and shut as many avenues down as possible to get back in this game. As we do see the superior energy retrieval being played there, but it looks like that should be enough, right? All in hand now.
Might even have enough to stash an attachment onto his benched golden go by the looks of things.
That would be rude. That is,
it's just
that's
rude.
The icing on the cake.
It's gonna hold everything.
I don't mind it.
6.
Just debating on which one to discard by the looks of it.
Yep.
There's the big make it rain. Now Drew Stevenson for the 3 prize KO. James Cox is reeling right now. How can we get back into the game?
Você sem absol no deck, os 2 mega absol prizados, isso que eu falei, não adianta deck build ser boa e o prize cagar tudo. Às vezes tu perde por prize a mão, tá ligado?
I'd love some more negotiations
Prize cagou demais.
We're in a lot of trouble. Drew at 2 prize
E a
cards
build
remaining.
não tá ruim, tá ligado? É porque ele prizou excepcionalmente mal.
With Arven, he's going to grab the Bravery Charm to just try and make this Petulant very vulnerable EX Pokemon a little bit chunkier. But James really is in the back foot. His ball position is pretty poor. Drew is very well set up with the draw power he has available and still so many resources left to take this final couple of prizes.
I tell you what, Drew, what he could do, wanting to be a bit more spicy, is starts out that Mega Millwall. That's swinging for 420 right now.
Nothing stopping that.
Yeah, it says whatever you put in the active, it's going to get KO'd. Probably don't need to do that, but I would love to see a gobble down for game. Yeah, I want to see a gobble down for game. I'd love that. I'm going to conclude for the Nest Ball plus Bravery Charm combination.
Quick use of Artisan as well by the looks of things.
It's got to be a big flip the script here, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, with supporter played, there's only so much we can look towards. There's already the counter catcher in hand, so maybe there's something we can do there.
I think the Yveltal has been KO'd, right? The other one's in the prize cards. We can't even try and bring up the Genesect.
Yeah. It would have to be...
Is there even energy in hand even?
No, we need a lot, Shay.
Wow. Flip the script. James needs help. 3 cards for Serendipity. What can you do? And I see them. Penny. Blood Moon.
Saluna.
Blood Moon or Saluna. Okay. That still needs 1 energy though, right?
Yeah. Oh no, Night Stretcher for Yveltal to... The Petulant could bring it straight into the active if we just had access to anything.
Oh, just a concession. James Cox knew that was it. No way back into the game. Drew Stevenson takes our Swiss round 13 feature match here, doing it incredible fashion with that Golden Go EX archetype, immediately applying the pressure. And James, with those, you know, bad prize cards, no way to get back into it.
Essa foi bem triste mesmo,
pretty
não
flawless
tinha
throughout, and it's more about what he didn't do than
what he
did do.
Só uma linda aí que
Let's look at how it all planned out. In that game number 1, being very disciplined with his bench management and still finding the resources to take these big knockouts. James was trying to be cat and mousey, setting up damage across multiple Pokemon, but Drew was happy to constantly give himself the situation where he took a single prize knockout, then took a 2 prize KO, and then had the means to get through the 1 mega that he had to. In both of those games, that's how it played out. The 2 are actually still discussing on the table.
É verdade, eu acho que é mesmo. Eu não nem lembrava que precisava dela.
So funny, we just saw Drew throw over the Mega Morwall and the Turbo Energize, both players thinking, you know, what's that for? You're saying for the cornerstone. But as you say, Drew was very disciplined in this game. There were a lot of things that you said, you know, chose not to do this, instead doing that patient. But this was the defining feature for game 2, though. 2 Mega Absol, Precious Trolley, and Eri, which was...
The matchup's hard enough.
Yeah, the matchup's not great. So when you start doing that business there, we did almost see the Mega Kangaskhan coming in for that rapid fire, but, you know, only flipped 1 heads, and Drew immediately pounced. You know, still played this perfectly, in my opinion.
Yeah, a couple Gimmighoul in the prizes didn't really slow him down. He still knew that he had a little bit of time here. Beyond a Kangaskhan going haywire with these coin flips, that would have been the only sort of jeopardy for Drew.
Yep.
Fortunately, straight into the tails, which meant Drew could easily line up another knockout. He did do some really cute forward planning, though, on a turn where he already had the KO. He was arming for the vessel so that he could do it the same
Você
thing on the
noção
following
do
turn.
quanto de acessório que tem para o I, para fazer
Here's
para
the knockout on the
jogos
Kangaskhan, and at that point,
ou para
James,
as coisas
with a horrific
mesmo,
ball
tipo o
position,
volantinho do
with a
Mario
panic
Kart,
positivity that
tá
really had to
ligado?
find a lot, to be honest.
Tem
So ended
monte
up
de
having
coisa.
to give the fist bump. A nice 2-0 victory for Drew there. And again, it comes back to this new archetype comes on the block, and it has a very clear game plan into one list. And it's just hoping the Golden Go isn't respecting Cornerstone on any given weekend. But when there's like 3 of them in the asymmetrical top cuts of Milwaukee, 2 of them in Belo Horizonte, going really far in the tournament with high-profile players, players have to really cotton on and say, I kind of have to respect Cornerstone now. So both players acknowledge that. Drew came with answers to
A geração do Iris rachar de ganhar dinheiro, não só dos consoles, né, mas do monte de periférico que ia funcionando nos jogos, né?
So we didn't quite get to see the benefits of Eri, we never saw it see play. So we didn't see how effective that could be, but it's no doubt a tricky matchup for the Absol Kangaskhan deck.
Yeah, it's just, you know, when you're a basic free prize deck, you really can't be getting one shot. It's just a non-negotiable. So the ball is definitely in Golden Go's side there, and Drew, as you said, played perfectly. We even saw right at the end when he had the big one shot on the Kangaskhan, really debating what exact energy do I even discard here. Yeah. They actually changed his decision a few times, like you said, preloading that earthen vessel for next turn. So it's interesting. We saw, as you say, both players adapt. You know, James said, I can't rely on the Cornerstone. People, they are going to cotton onto it. It's very easily tech. So let me sort of go for more of a soft tech, I like to call these, in my opinion.
Mario Kart, mas Mario Kart, né, o de Wii eu zerei também quando eu joguei. Joguei muito, joguei online também, que dava pra jogar online, né? É bacana, Soul Calibur eu não joguei esse. Eu acho que eu não joguei. O Pandora Tower eu tinha gostado.
Some like night stretchers so they can't dust them off too much and get rid of rare candy so they can't get too many stage 2s online. That's how you're trying to win that matchup when you cut out the Cornerstone, because again, players are adapting. We know that Jackson with his victory had some decent answers to a
Legal que o
Cornerstone.
Nintendo Switch teve várias versões, cara. Tem o mini seu depois, que é literalmente um minizinho bem menor, não tem nem leitor, tá ligado? Ele é só por entrada do USB pra você colocar jogo nele, né? Não tem nem leitor. Mano, muito da hora. Vermelhinho, sabe? Bonitinho pra caralho.
Well, thank you very much, Shay, Joe. So I'm joined here by Drew. Now, for us, this is a regular occurrence. We talk to each other a lot because we play very close to each other in England. But for this occasion, I get to watch you making it into Top Cut on stream. How are you feeling right now, Drew?
Oh, I'm feeling amazing, man. I'm feeling amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll talk more about our history together playing. We played against each other in Frankfurt, where you got top 8.
I did, yes.
You got top 8 in Stockholm last season. So for a lot of people at home, they might not be familiar with you, but you are definitely making waves. Talk to us about how your season's going so far.
I mean, 2 events, 2 top cuts. So you can't ask for anything better, really, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's sort of just take
Maria
a moment.
gostaria daquele foi pouco, inclusive quando o Messi voltar e mandar um comprou de fora lá, ela vai ficar contente. Vai dormir abraçada com
So there's a little bit of a rivalry going on here, but Drew, we want to talk a little bit about your history. So you were a top senior player in the 2023 season, and you kind of aged up and you had an opportunity to compete quite a lot, but you're really starting to build up a lot of momentum now. What's changed for you as a player to get these high success rates?
First of all, I appreciate the compliment, but I would say experience, because I've only been playing for about 3 years.
Bizarro o valor de uma caixa de 2 direto de lá, né? Mesmo convertendo pelo dólar turismo,
so I would say that's probably
comparação quanto uma
experience.
Em comparação
you were at Worlds out
aqui,
in Anaheim, and you competed with Golden Go there as well.
I did, yes.
And you also competed in Frankfurt with Golden Go. So what is it about Golden Go that's really appealing to you right now?
Well, when the best part about Golden is when you go ahead, the insane draw power of coin bonuses, it just makes it so you hit what you need most of the time. So when you go ahead, most of the time you always stay ahead, which is the best part.
Yeah, we saw that against James. You managed to get those big knockouts on the Megas. We saw a game plan there that was clearly very well thought out, not putting Lunatone and Soul Rock out, which are the key components of the new builds of Golden Go. Talk to us a little bit about how you
Os 3 busters juntos, literal, vai ficar mais caro. O Fred fica mais caro que os 3 busters.
I play a Mega Mobile, which
qualquer coisa se for mandar pra você não compensa.
And then the second attack will do 260 damage. So that is great at killing cornerstones and being an energy efficient attacker. Since you just put the energies on there and then it can attack for no extra cost, it means I don't need superiors, I don't need extra recovery, and I can just keep attacking.
Yeah, so you've included a card specifically for that matchup,
yes.
And I bet you're happy to see such a strong player playing a deck that you're confident into. So James Cox, our Lille regional champion last season, and for you, Drew, you were top 32 in Lille last season.
I was, yes.
So now you're in Top Cut. What's the aim now in Lille?
Well, I hope to win it.
You hope to win it.
Second Top Cut in a row. I gotta make this one count, right?
Yeah, because you've managed to get top 8 in multiple events as a master.
Yeah.
Now you're trying to get to that next stage, get to the semi-finals, to the finals. Is there any players you think are going to be in Top Cut who you're worried about playing potentially because of their deck or the quality of player they are?
I'm pretty sure Gabriel is
eu fiz o teste do frete aqui pra onde ele mora, tá ligado? Se ele ganhasse uma das miniaturas de Digimon ali, né?
So Drew, mentioned earlier on a little bit about our rivalry. You know, we live about 40 minutes away from each other, something like that. So cups and challenges. I'll be honest with you, for people at home, I think Drew has won way more than I've won. We've had a few ties here and there. Very much my challenge is whenever I see Drew across from me, I've got to try and one up previous records. But for you, what does it mean to have that strong local community around you to help support you, as well as people online who help you out?
Yeah, I'm very lucky to have such a strong local community. We have 4 local shops that we can go to within 40 minutes, which is great for the local scene. And having all my friends online, internationally as well as locally, really helps me to prepare for my events and have a second opinion.
Is there any of them you want to thank before we let you go and rest up before your next round?
I want to thank my friends who are with me today.
Se eu, inclusive, tivesse realmente a fim de pegar um 22, eu pedi pro Mestre pegar pra mim lá. Ia sair mais ou menos nessa faixa aí também, tá ligado?
Thank you very much, Drew. As mentioned, we get a chance to play against each other all the time at local.
Mas
There's
como
amazing
não tô
players
assim,
everywhere,
não tô aí
players,
ainda.
all looking to get you involved. So make sure you head along to your local scene.
Hey, do you want to play?
Yeah.
Nice.
One shot?
Wait, that card, yeah.
I'll use twin cannons.
Great game, guys.
Bye. See you next week.
Come play at your local Pokemon League.
Uma coisa que no Magic era raro, era a mina. Até hoje é. O Magic ainda é um jogo. O Magic ainda é um jogo que eu vejo uma aproximação muito grande ao público mais fidelizado dele. Agora, você vê um pouco mais de um público misto. Eu não digo só, tipo, de homem ou mulher, eu digo de veteranos, tá ligado? Agora tem um público mais misto, porque o Magic tem muito collab, né? Que nem esse ano teve Final Fantasy, Homem-Aranha. E, cara, isso chama público novo, tá ligado? Principalmente público feminino também, querendo ou não, principalmente né, na questão de videogames, né, essas franquias, o público que consome, que é feminino, aumentou bastante, tá ligado? Hoje em dia tem muitos canais aí até realmente consomem, né? E aí, vai ter CG também. Mas, tipo, no Magic eu sinto que a proporção ainda é muito pequena perto dos outros. É bem menor assim em relação aos outros CCGs. Nos outros tem mais ainda do que no Magic. Mas no Magic já começou a difundir mais, né? Faz um tempo aí, desde os collabs aí, tem acontecido, já difundiu melhor.
through trial and error, and that can easily be done at the local level.
100%. As someone that likes to build a lot of decks, often from scratch, that have, you know, a lot worse game plans than Mega War, I can tell you that for free. Locals is the best place for me to iron those lists out. And one thing I think Locals is really good for, like let's say off the back of a Milwaukee, right, we saw this Mega Absol Kangaskhan deck do really well. It's really good to see the community response, I'd like to say. Like how does everyone else look at these results and how do they counter the counter? And then you can think, well, if, you know, if at the little regional championships, if half
aqui na cidade mesmo, também, né, dizendo, única jogadora de papo a longo prazo e jogou vários TPGs aqui na cidade foi a
You can come down to that local scene and see that
teve umas duas, três, tá ligado?
Twist up their deck and
moça que aparecia lá pra jogar, mas tipo, jogava um TCG específico e literal jogava pra acompanhar o namorado, tá ligado? Coisa do tipo. O que não é também, não tô dizendo que é invalidar porque ela jogava, tá ligado? Longe disso, mas eu digo, do momento que o cara parou de jogar, ela também perdeu o interesse, tá ligado? Ou nem jogou mais.
Have been like, oh, you've been Mega Kangaskhan, are you? All right, let me get all my tech out, let me see if it works. You're there like, oh.
I hit a Venusaur, obviously. Yeah, I hit a Mega Lucario in a Golden Go. I still managed to win.
Não, Pokémon, nossa. Pô, Pokémon com público feminino. Pokémon com público feminino é muito forte, bicho. Pokémon, principalmente agora com VTuber, né? VTuber, essas paradas que ficou popular, né? VTuber barra Hero, né? Mano, direto, tá ligado? Tipo, tem. É muito forte, né? Nesse tipo de público, desse conteúdo aí.
Alright, let me know. Hey, we're here in the Lillie Regional Championships. We're here inside of the stream area. And you know what? We have a full house today. Not only Pokemon TCG, we got Go, we got VTC. And just look at the crowd we got here right now. Everyone is right here already enjoying all the excitement we can bring on today with our stream games. But you know what? We're still not even done with it. We have more action to follow soon. Stay tuned.
Thank you for that, yes, but love hearing the crowd getting involved. And quite honestly, I'll let you into a little secret here, viewers. When we were doing our intro on the sofa, I was struggling to hear you because the crowd was so loud. If you can probably go back
Meruru faz muito conteúdo disso aí.
Lip read and trying to work out what it's
Meruru faz muito conteúdo disso aí.
Really good point. Anyway.
Look at this. I was saying some outrageous stuff, just like, good pop, wow, I've convinced Joe.
É uma loja, né? Então faz sentido também.
But yeah, love seeing all just the stage and the grandeur.
Eu mesmo, sei lá, se eu montasse uma loja e o meu foco fosse TCG, faria conteúdo pra caralho, tá?
So regionals now quite different, I would say. The grandeur of these tournaments have got so much, and just the names of the room.
Além de eu
the crowd
gostar,
building, because our top tables are littered with phenomenal talent. Just going through some of our players who are already above that 30-point threshold. We have Alberto Conti, we got to see him yesterday playing that Dragapult Dusknoir. Kai Wainwright still at the top of our standings, 32 match points with Dragapult Dusknoir. Hermione as well, coming in with the Charizard archetype that did so well on the previous week. We have Alexander, who we got to see yesterday, also playing Dragapult, so lots of Dragapult towards the top tables. A player we haven't yet been able to feature, but one I'm really interested in their deck list, Carter Malniak, with the really interesting Terra toolbox with Noctowl, but also has the mega package in there. Has one Absol, one Kangaskhan, one Terrastal Hooper EX in the list, and enough Dark Energy to use all of those Pokemon as well. Some of the players right at the top. And then there was also, on table 308, a Enz Zoroark mirror match between real talent, Piper Lapine and Gabriel Fernandez.
Wow.
Some great players who have piloted this archetype to great successes before, and are once again on really great winning ways.
Yeah, big fan of this deck. We got Piper on stream yesterday, and I loved watching it. That Enz Zoroark EX with that trade ability, letting you discard a card from your hand to draw 2. And that Knight Joker attack, letting you use the attack of any one of your Enz Pokemon as the effect of this attack. So we featured, we can see Reshiram there, powerful rage basically. Any damage you have on yourself, you do double back. So if you dare touch a Zoroark EX for more than like 130, 150 damage, it's coming straight back. And it's really interesting because we saw Piper, she was actually playing the Ends Darmanitan. Like when we saw Gabrielle World's Final, I think the Darmanitan was completely omitted off the top of my head. So it's interesting seeing that back. You know, long-term players, remember Moonlight Shuriken basically has that attack. So you can really do some interesting things. Dark typing naturally can help you out into the Gardevoir matchups. Grass weakness, you know, it was a lot better, but now with Mega Absol, if people are really teching hard for Mega Absol, you do get caught in that crossfire. But at the end of the day, it's a fast, fun deck that draws a lot of cards, and drawing cards is typically a good thing in a Pokemon TCG, right?
Always is, especially when you get to filter out the bad cards. It means you can jam-pack your deck with consistency, get into the game, then throw away the excess pieces that you don't need because it's a different point in the game. Other archetypes has to keep a large deck size as they filter through the deck, and then they can still draw back into those consistency pieces later, but you've already thinned them out. They're no longer going to be a problem for you later on in the game, which means your deck is just jam-packed full of treats towards the late game, and that ends Zoroark deck. I love the archetype because it changes the dynamic completely of every game, because so many of the top stage 2s, they rely on counter catcher as one of their key gusting options, but because Zoroark is happy to sort of sit back, set damage up across the board, it then forces these stage 2s to find not only their evolution pieces, but then also the boss's orders as well, and can't rely on counter catcher basically for the entirety of the game. And at any point you have to punch into a Zoroark or pass, that's when Zoroark gains so much advantage.
Yeah, it's such an easy KO. Like when you leave damage on that Zoroark, they're just like, oh, you see your opponent like, yep, I'll hit into you, and then the Zoroark player just goes, powerful rage for 2 or 3 prize cards. How dare you put dice on my Zoroark? Do you not know what powerful rage does, my friend? So yeah, I'm a big fan of that. It's really interesting because, you know, Piper played it in Milwaukee, top 128 finish, I believe, top of my head. She's completely changed the deck from there. That was before she was playing what was it, the Arvum package build, and now she's switched all the way over to the Serrano. So you can even see within the End Zoroark deck 2 massive different ways of playing it.
Yeah, I think there's been conjecture on what A-Spec to play, what supporter package to play, and that's still constantly evolving, even whether you're playing the Toadscruel or the Darmanitan or just other tech inclusions like Cornerstone has also been within Zoroark. We saw that at the World Championships with Mateusz as well. Zoroark is constantly evolving. It feels like it's one of these decks that makes Top Cut more in the 1s and 2s. It's still not really that popular out in the field. It feels like it still takes a really skilled pilot to navigate these matchups, because there are some situations where you can feel stumped as a Zoroark player. We don't really have a good turn lined up. If you've gone too far ahead on prize cards, you can't really do much outside of that 170 damage. You much prefer to set up damage across the board and play defense, almost like you're a stage 2 deck in a lot of situations. But then there are some matchups where you have to completely change your game plan.
And I think, it hasn't quite got that, as you say, 170, not bad, not the most convincing. Now, we've mentioned Piper a lot here, but now we can actually go have a look and see how she's getting on right now. We're looking at our standings that we do have coming off Swiss round 13. Wow. Alberto Conti, Kai, Wainwright, Lewis Bonison, Carter, Malatic, Alexander, who had on stream yesterday, and there's Piper there at 7th. This is ridiculously stacked. You know, at the bottom of this graphic here, we have Henry Brand, 2019 world champion, had on stream yesterday as well. Arnie, Kim Poega. Wow, Joe, this is incredible.
Yeah, none of these are just locked just yet with that 31 points, so they're right in that mix. And Kim, also a champion that we've seen recently at special championships, I think piloting a Gardevoir archetype. Arnie there, obviously known for playing Charizard, but has pivoted to Dragapult themselves. A lot of these players are rocking that Dragapult archetype this weekend. Had incredible phase 1 to 2 conversion, despite the amount of Gardevoir in the room, so it's really proving itself to still be a really top pick.
Yeah, this is something I actually want to pick your, I want to pick your head on a little bit here, Joe, because it's quite, I think it's quite, what's the word, a uniform opinion that Gardevoir is probably the deck to beat, if not the best deck in format. But we're seeing here that Dragapult is doing really well, good conversion, and a high amount of people playing it. Why do you think people are playing this deck in such high droves when it's got an uphill struggle against Gardevoir, let's say?
I mean, it's always had that, but it can still sweep the rug from under Gardevoir. We know that early Budew can be very efficient. We've seen that there's been a recent trend with Gardevoir builds, actually, to even cut TM evolution altogether.
True.
And in those cases, Dragapult actually gains a lot of percentage back into Gardevoir, because he can budge the game away. If they can't naturally draw into the Curliers and the Gardevoirs, they're going to have a slow time. And we know that Dragapult can pounce on lots of multiple low hit point Pokemon if they can get developed on the board. And it still gained a lot of strength itself. Lillie is a massive upgrade to Professor's research. Like, Gardevoir, sure, it takes Lillie. It's a big upgrade in its own right, but it quite enjoyed research just for discard of energy. Whereas the Dragapult really didn't want to get rid of any pieces. It basically got by having 4 Night Stretcher, committing a lot of space to the deck to sort of make it work. But then you had to inflate counts of boss, inflate counts of countercatcher, inflate counts of essentially everything, just because you knew you'd sometimes have to get rid of one here or there throughout the game. Now they get to shuffle in and see a fresh 8 is such a big upgrade for a deck that loves to build a board behind a Budgie.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's just like Lillie's, isn't it? It's just... So let me ask you this then. So moving forward, we've got an event next week in Gdansk. You know, looking, it seems to me, at the very least, we're going to have a few Dragapult in our asymmetrical top cup. Perhaps even take it home. If you was a player going to Gdansk, how much thought do you give to Psyduck? Because I think it's a card that, you know, turns off the Cursed Blasters, but I don't think we've seen it in massive droves.
No.
Why do you think that is, and could you see that going up moving forward?
So it's all about matchups, really. It feels like the Psyduck goes into decks that don't enjoy the Dragapult Dusknoir matchup inherently, rather than ones that like are close and then they don't really want to commit the space. Because Psyduck is only really that useful into Dragapult, sometimes a little bit against Charizard, although Charizard can get away with it as well. So it's really, if you only want to beat that matchup and your matchup's already like pretty average, that's when that one inclusion becomes really handy. Like if you're playing Golden Go and have a Psyduck, that's going to be a really tough match for a Dragapult Dusknoir player. But at the same time, Dragapult sometimes gets by with like just one Curse Blast throughout the entire game anyway. Sometimes you can still get away with it. So, I don't know, the Psyduck isn't the be-all and end-all. It still comes down to timing. It still comes down to deck and matchup. It's not like you can just shove it into anything and instantly win that matchup. Like, the Dragapult is still so flexible, so good at going INO, hit, set up a 4-prize board, and like put you at a 1-card hand. Like, that's still just the MO of a Dragapult, you know? And the Curse Blasters help you get there and sometimes accelerate a board position. But ultimately, the Curse Blasters are helping most in the Gardevoir matchup in the mirror, where you can take away evolution pieces all in one go and like double down into one of your opponent's Dragapult, because if you leave them Phantom Diving around, that's when things really get pretty courageous and difficult to deal with. So I feel like the Psyduck is at the moment only really considered in decks that don't have that strong of a matchup. Like sometimes Charizard would consider it, sometimes like other evolving decks, like maybe Ceruledge can put it in, the Absol Kangaskhan has to have it so the Megas aren't knocked out cleanly. And it comes down to the point of when do we accept that Gardevoir is not enough of a threat for the Dragapults? You know, how many people are going to just pivot to a deck that inherently has a better time rather than saying I'll shove in the Psyduck instead?
Yeah, interesting. We've even seen some players, you know, against the Psyduck. As a Dragapult player, you can just do the flying entry plus KO as well, right? Like it's not. It could have a few more hit points. Maybe if you're that scared, evolve it into Golduck. Yeah, evolve it into the Golduck.
One of our good friends, Carl Blake, was playing a 2-1 line of Psyduck and 1 Golduck. He was playing Alakazam, by the way, so yeah, he was going for that. But yeah, he said he caught a few people off guard by having the 1 Golduck evolution during the day. So I think he was pretty chuffed with himself.
Yeah, well, I think 110 hit points. I think the Golduck has, right? Yeah, you can't.
Through that. Yeah,
that's not a flying entry plus a Phantom Dive combination. That's for sure. And I think at that point, if I'm a Dragapult player and my opponent gets into Golduck, I'm thinking, yeah, you really want to beat me, so you carry on, innit? Like, I'm not going to be upset about that for sure.
It really comes down to just how wide that format is once again. Like, yes, we've known Dragapult and Gardevoir have been the backbone of our format for many months, but they're still not really reaching that like 20-odd%. And there's still so many decks you have to accommodate for, that committing that 1 slot just to 1 matchup still just feels so awkward. Like, I really don't want to commit 1 space when I'm going to see it throughout my day and think it's a completely useless waste of space until I find that 1 matchup where it's useful. So that's the difficulty with a tech like Psyduck, which just has no other opportunity to be useful at all.
Bom, eu já falei, mas tava
follow like a Pokemon you throw in the active to protect your other Pokemon. That's like the only other use case it's going to come into play.
Ter
Otherwise, it just sort of rots in
300
your hand until you hit the right
originais.
matchup. I think most players prefer to find
Cara,
cuter tech cards that can give you some edge, but then are useful across the board. That's normally where the most outstanding tech cards come into play.
Pensado tendo aumentar meu limite no Bradesco há 6 meses. E no banco você usar e pedir ele aumentar. Não, no banco se você paga as contas bonitinho, não liga pra porra nenhuma, ele só vai aumentando. Eu também perco. Do nada começou a aumentar. E eu nem uso.
Hey, this is Jesper Eriksson on the floor here at the Lille Regional Championships. And I found one of my friends out here, Rahul. You travel all the way from the States over here.
What's up, guys? Happy to be here, as always.
As always, you've been traveling a lot this season already, you know, going around. You played Milwaukee a couple weeks ago. You played a lot of North American regionals, of course you have. But how does the European ones differ in terms of the North American ones?
It's actually really interesting because usually in North America, it's like, it feels very normal for me because I've been playing all those all years and stuff. But when you come over to Europe, it's kind of cool because like everyone speaks a little bit of a different language. It feels like a bigger like cultural pot of stuff going on. It's my first one in France. Figured I'd come do a little bit of exploring, some tourism, you know. It's all a part of the journey, you know, coming out here and having a good time.
Yeah, speaking of coming over here, of course, you played the regional championships. How did that fare off for you?
Not too great. I actually came in and taking care of your body and your health is a really important thing too, and I didn't do a great job of that this tournament. So I had a, you know, pretty rough headache on the first day. Led to some poor play on my part, and that just kind of transitioned poorly into day two as well. So didn't have the greatest run. I did make phase two, so I can't complain on that aspect. But, you know, always got to figure out what you're doing wrong and fix your mistakes moving forward.
And speaking of doing right or wrong, I mean, in Milwaukee, you're doing certainly right together with the group of us, right? Speaking a little bit about, you know, Milwaukee, we saw Mega Kangaskhan, Mega Absol coming up there. Was that the same deck you played for this tournament, or what did you end up playing?
So I played Mega Guardy for this one, or Guardy with Mega Guardy involved in it. I really like the Mega cards coming out. Like Milwaukee was really cool because we got a chance to explore this Mega Kangaskhan, Mega Absol aspect, and I feel like these Mega Evolution cards have really made the format way more fun. Like, it went from being this Dragapult, Gardevoir, maybe a couple other guys in the format, into this really cool Solrock, Lunatone engine. We have these Mega cards making an appearance. I've seen a ton of people playing these like grass decks with the Forest, Venusaur, that kind of stuff. So it's been a lot of fun just getting to play unique new kinds of Pokemon, which is what it's all about.
And speaking of unique kinds of Pokemon, Gdansk next week is that something you're looking forward to, or are you going to be playing the same deck?
I'm going to go back to playing Terrabucks. I think that's my baby. I like having a lot of fun with it. And if you're not playing the deck you're having the most fun with, what are you doing, you know?
So that means we got to watch out for the Rahul Ready special coming in for Gdansk.
Yes, sir.
Indeed. And, you know, looking at Gdansk, you've had a fantastic season already. You know, make it to 4 regionals, traveling all around the place. What is the goal for Gdansk when we're looking at that?
I want to just play better than I did this time. Didn't really play the greatest this time, so if I sit down and can play each round better than the previous one, that's all that matters. Just one round at a time, and sometimes you end up finding yourself in top cut, and if you don't, then whatever.
I mean, best of luck to you in Gdansk, and of course, I hope you get to enjoy the rest of your stay here in France. And with that said, let's get back to the action here at the Lille Regional Championships.
All right, love hearing from Rahul there, you know, a pioneer of the game, is always here, there and everywhere. No, you'd never be surprised to see him in a symmetrical top cut. But Joe, I have a question. I mean, Rahul alluded to it a little bit there, actually, you know, when you're traveling and playing. What are the sort of things you have to keep in mind when you're traveling very far for Pokemon?
Well, you're still got to look after yourself. Make sure you're sorting out those time zones, giving yourself enough sleep at night.
Yep.
Not something you always want to do when you want to get testing as much as possible with your deck. You've got to be a little bit disciplined when you can. Also, making sure you're traveling with friends is going to make it as fun as possible. That means if you're just turning up on your own and you have a bad tournament run, it can feel like a bad day and a wasted trip. But if you're always turning up with friends, making it about the occasion, the enjoyment of the event itself, that's when you can't go wrong. That's when you're always going to end up having a good time. Have your backup plan in case you don't go perfectly to plan in day number 1. And Rahul's always thinking about the game as well. He said he's picked up a deck, he's enjoyed it, and now he's already thinking about that next tournament and what he wants to change up. So if something didn't go your way, there's always a next opportunity to come back, bring some new flair, bring a new idea to the table, and start testing that one out. That's what's so fresh about the Pokemon trading card game. You can have a bad run, and then you can come back immediately and be on to a winner.
Yeah, you know, all information is good information, so at the very least, even if you play a tournament and it might not work out exactly how you wanted, you still take many learnings. As we say, we are in the information era here where you can get tournament results very easily, as before that definitely wasn't the case. And we saw with this Mega Kangaskhan Absol deck that was just sprung into life purely, for the most part, of social media hype. So information's here, there and everywhere.
Power of one man. He's not even here. We're still talking about it. We're still talking about Tornrek, who's taking a breather this week.
Taking it off, he's had a little bit of a rest.
He's looking after his health, and I think that's a fair thing to say as well. Yeah, you know, if you're not feeling up to it, don't come on down and push yourself too far. There's still plenty more in the season to come, and his archetype was a stroke of genius. It may not be going so well this weekend, but that goes back to the information era where everyone sees it, everyone knows how to test against it immediately. So a week is like a long time in Pokemon. There's so much time there that you can get reps in, especially if you're already competent with your deck. You just have to learn the one new matchup. Then suddenly, if you can solve that one, be it with tech cards or changing how you choose to approach the matchup, then you're still right back in the mix to be a top contender at the tournament.
Yeah, like as you say, when people have developed their answers, they're going to come in straight away, and if you haven't adapted your deck to the answers, could be in for a tough time. And you know, as I always say in Pokemon, you don't get bonus points for winning hard games. You don't get extra match points if the game was close. Unfortunately not. You want to make it as easy as possible. So if you can have those cards that make the matchups a bit better and they work, you know, that's happy days.
Yep, it's always spooky to see a new archetype at those tables. But we're still getting spooky here this weekend in Lille, and we're getting tested once again. Me and Shay put a lot of pride in this, even though we're not that good at this. So we are hoping to score some more brownie points here with some victories. Play along at home as well, because we're going to have some spooky entries to guess here, Shay.
We do. I love it when this comes up. The production staff love it. They love us doing these. Okay, let's have a gander. Its cries sound like incantations. Those hearing it are tormented by headaches and hallucinations.
Wow.
Sounds like me when I'm getting too loud, isn't it? That could be me.
Incantations. So, and it's crying as well. So an incantation doesn't sound like a roar. It doesn't feel like a big Pokemon, you know? It feels more subtle.
Almost,
yeah, more murmuring. But headaches and hallucinations coming in as well. Is anything jumping out at you straight away?
It sounded like a Frostlass to me.
Ooh, I like that,
just crying about in a cave, like, woe is me.
I like that.
Freezing
the
shrouds,
echoes, I could definitely see that being an incantation.
Are there any other, like, I've been saying Gothitelle a lot, but Gothitelle could be, this could be plausible.
You know, I really like your shout, to be fair.
Frostlass?
I like Frostlass.
You like Frostlass?
Yeah.
Should we go for that one then?
Let's go for that.
Oh, please. I'll be so happy. Oh,
Miss Magius. Okay, I mean, similar lines.
Yeah.
Similar lines, I think. They're quite different Pokemon, but definitely we could see we were on the right track, I think.
Yeah, it was in the ballpark. You know, that wasn't an outrageous throw, I think. I don't think anyway.
I think we just take that.
Any of you get it at home? Let us know.
Here we go. Feared and loathed by many. It is believed to bring misfortune to all those who see it at night.
Could you imagine for the second if someone was like, oh, describe Joe to me, say, feared and loathed by many. That is a really harsh Pokedex entry right there.
Right. That's just your internal monologue coming out as soon as I start saying it. Certainly not feared.
Oh dear, it's believed to be misfortune. So you see it at night. Well, at night doesn't really help us out here, but a little bit of context here.
It's loathed.
It's loathed.
So it's not like a mythical or a difficult to see Pokemon because it's loathed by loads of people.
Yeah. They wouldn't give us another Gengar one, would they? Gengar would suit.
They always could.
I think they would have exhausted their Gengar ones, surely.
There's always another Gengar.
I mean, it could work here. You know, he leaves his legs hanging out the wall, apparently. So I'm sure people would love.
Misfortune.
Misfortune. Could that be more psychic?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's any element there. Yeah, see it at night.
Surely it would mention sleep if it was Hypno.
Yeah, Hypno's more, geared towards one direction in terms of that hypnosis and whatnot.
Surely.
I mean, if we're going to guess, we may as well guess a Gengar.
Yeah,
because the odds are we could metagame this. And just throw game theory in.
If we catch him out with a Gengar here, that would be brilliant. Should we do that?
Oh, it's a Murkrow.
Oh, they put it up already? Murkrow.
It's a Murkrow. Yeah, the fortune thing is definitely a thing with Murkrow as well.
Weird. No Murkrow.
Yeah, I don't know why it's
doing the video games.
Yeah.
If a Murkrow came at me, you could give it a bob and weave. Go away. Just go inside, actually.
The loathing thing threw me off. I was
expecting a bit more something menacing.
Yeah.
Honchkrow, that could work.
Yeah, the head honcho.
Yeah.
It's a little Murkrow. Yeah, the misfortune thing, that definitely brings a bell now. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
We got another one.
Buried beneath the castle are masses of dried up bones from those whose vitality it has drained.
Wow. The castle. Buried beneath the castle.
Masses of dried up bones from those whose vitality.
Oh. Sandygast or Palisand?
Oh, it could be a sand castle.
It could be a Palisand.
That makes sense, because I was thinking, what like massive castles are there in Pokemon that they would reference that heavily, and I couldn't think of many.
The only other thing I was thinking of Coppergregus, where you can know in the game where you're running around.
Oh, Relic Castle. Relic Castle. Could be that.
I feel like we have to go with Palisand or Sandygast.
I think Palisand, yeah, because what massive castles are there in Pokemon? There's not many in Galar. Well, I thought maybe Renagius, but I think one of the Sands is probably.
We going with the big one? We going with Palo or Sandygast? I think.
Well, let's think if we get a big one, because the surface area of the castle has to at least fit some, fit the bones in. Yeah, it's got to be the big one. So the big one's Palisand, I think.
We'll go Palisand.
Yes! Well done, Joe!
Come on!
That was good.
And that's a win.
That was good.
Making up for the Murkrow.
Love that. Yeah, making up for Murkrow.
These are tough. These are
hard.
We're thinking on the spot. We've literally got a camera point in front of us. If you're shouting at us at home, it's tougher than it looks because we've got the pressure here
production
as well.
staff laughing at us.
Yeah.
This Pokémon appears just before someone passes away.
Ah, mas não tem tanta coisa não. E, sinceramente, se você quer muito jogar o clássico, assim, tipo, muito mesmo, o valor deles até que é em conta, se você for querer comprar, tá ligado?
It's Absol, right? I don't think. Okay. Emissary of Death is... That's a name right there. Emissary. Okay. Now, we've had Dustin already, but Dustin would suit that. Yeah. But maybe it's something a bit more regal. Not, you know what I mean, but maybe it's a bit more like...
Eu tinha colocado pra pegar o Tekken 3, né? E aí sobrou um restinho. Aí a Maria sabia que ela sempre quis pegar o Back to Nature também, né? Do Revest 1 peguei também. Tá os dois lá agora. Tem o Time Splinters e não tem Digimon. Mas Digimon não é tão clássico assim, por mais que a gente considere, né? Essa é a real. Nós que gostamos de subir Digimon meio que superestima ele, né? Esse é o bagulho, né? O Digimon foi um clássico, assim, pra quem consumiu, mas, tipo, a ponto de entrar no catálogo, eu acho difícil. Quem saiba, né, se o Time Stranger realmente começar a dar bons valores aí, se der um mês, sério. Se fechar o mês, primeira semana de novembro não divulgar vendas, esquece. Não vendeu o esperado. Aí é triste. Mano, é literal. O prazo limite é semana que vem. Se não divulgar as vendas oficialmente semana que vem, deu ruim. Ah, mas ficou top venda no Steam, foda-se. Não bateu o que os caras queriam. O que os caras esperavam.
I'm liking the Yamask though.
A little cheeky Yamask coming in.
Yeah, but alright, yeah, let's do that.
Let's go with this. Oh, it's Lampin. Out of nowhere. What's he doing there?
Emissary of Death. What? So hold on. If your lamp just turns on, so that's a Lampin. Oh, but Emissary of...
It evolves. It's fuming. Yeah.
You evolve your little bit. Oh, no.
Yeah, get your Everstone on that.
Cara, eu não diria por uns anos, não. Tá? Porque a receptividade, pelo menos, do Time Stranger foi positiva. Tá ligado? A receptividade foi positiva. Mas é o famoso, eu vi muito por aí. E eu entendo. Tipo, pô, o jogo tá bom. Tá ligado? O jogo tá maneiro. Mas não vou pegar agora no lançamento porque eu não tenho grana pra ele. Entendeu? Então pode acontecer que tenha um efeito um pouco maior de vendas quando vier a primeira promoção. Mas, tipo assim, apesar disso, é claro que sempre tem o público que fala isso, você na verdade só tá esperando ser o piratão, tá ligado? Isso aí é fato. Porque o mês do Time Stranger, esse mês de outubro, né? Cara, são muito jogo, velho. São muito jogo, muito jogo grande, né? Então, se você não tem investimento baixo, cacito, interesse direto em pegar ele, você não vai ter a grana ali mesmo, né? Isso é complicado.
What, 0 or 5, right?
I don't want to talk about it, Shay.
Quando você coloca Yotei, Ninja Gaiden 4, um monte de outros jogos, tá? Até mesmo o próprio Little Nightmares 3, no mesmo mês que ele, a pessoa ali vai ter que escolher suas prioridades, né? E aí o Digimon fica pra depois.
Mega Gengar, we guessed Gengar, we didn't get a point, we didn't say Mega Gengar, and then right at the end we guessed Ghastly, turned out it was Gengar again, so...
I told you I didn't want to talk about
Silent Hill. Não, mas Silent Hill foi mês
Just
passado.
wanted to give the viewers context.
Silent Hill ainda assim foi mês passado. Quando eu digo esse mês, é realmente esse mês. Por mais que Silent Hill foi no finalzinho do mês passado, né? Ainda assim foi mês passado.
And pick your favorites for.
I think yesterday, the community choice was to pick what deck was featured on stream. You guys did pick correctly. Thank you for that, because you did pick Mega Lucario. Big tick from Burton there.
Ih, matou o som dos caras.
On my phone, like
voltou.
I wasn't, by the way. Just to let you know. So yeah, we're gonna be running that back. I believe it'll be a Twitch poll, and then
it's going to be based on matchup here as well. So we know the decks towards the top that are floating. We're trying to get you something together to talk about which matchup you want to see coming into our next round, because to be honest, all the players that we could pick from at this point, they're all showstoppers. They're all amazing players. We don't have to worry about that. We're going to get absolute titans of the game at this top table for our next round. That's not the question. The question is, what decks do you want to see on show clashing out against one another?
Yep, and the choice, the power will be in your hands for that one. So whatever you want, you will be able to get. Do you want to see a bit more of a quirky deck? You better vote for it. If you want to see the deck that you play the most, Gardevoir or Dragapult, you can vote for that. Or if you want to see, you know, a matchup you don't tend to see too often, you can vote for that. What would you vote for out of interest? What do you look for when we're watching a game?
Well, possibly the deck that I've been enjoying the most at the moment, the N Zoroark, which is towards the top end of the tables right now.
Cheeky.
A few good players are rocking the archetype, so I'm quite happy with my prediction for this weekend. The Legacy Energy is a bit of an interesting call out as well as an A-spec choice. Now, this is the issue with A-specs. You can only play one. There's an amazing amount of effects on all of these A-spec cards, so you really have to pick carefully. But I was sort of giving a nod to Legacy Energy for the Ceruledge upcoming archetype that really likes to include this card to have some more prize card manipulation. So frustrating to not have to be able to go through a Ceruledge, have to allow that to stick on board to churn through knockouts. But also I was kind of giving a wink towards some Mega Evolution Pokemon. The big downside being they give up 3 prize cards. Suddenly you slap a Legacy Energy on and now you're giving up 1 fewer. And that is really intimidating. So I was trialing out some Ho-Oh EX Armor Rouge from Legacy Energy. I'm not going to lie, I was going to be creative.
Now we're talking.
And I was also trying it out just generally with some Chorus's Tenacity packages as well, trying to weave it in where I could. So I really like the Enzorok as my serious pick, but I want to see people get creative with Legacy Energy. It can really take away the drawback of Megas.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting strategy. We haven't actually seen yet. But I was just thinking, my card's a bit Mega Lucario. Imagine Mega Lucario with one of those Legacy. Golly.
No one wants to see that.
No one wants to see that. There is something I want to see, though, and that's our community choice. I believe we have ready. So we can have a little gander and see what you guys can vote for about what our next match will be here on stream. I'm looking really forward to that. And, you know, you guys have done really well at picking. Oh, here we go. So we have
I can talk
Kim.
Through these matchups.
Yep, go on then. The floor is yours, my friend.
Kim and Piper. That's going to be Piper on the Enzoroark. Kim going to be playing the Gardevoir Jellicent build. Then we have, let's try and find, Gabrielle is going to be on the Enzoroark, and that's up against Louis with the Golden Go Lunatone Solrock archetype. Henry, that's Henry Brand, I have to imagine, he was playing Dragapult Dustoir. That's against Thomas, who we saw yesterday piloting that Flareon archetype. I know he wants a chance for some redemption after yesterday. And then Alberto, of course, who we know was playing the Dragapult deck up against Felix, who is playing also a Dragapult build as well. It looks like not with Dustoir. So these are the matchups. These are the players. We want to see who you're picking from what decks, but also the players that we have remaining in this tournament.
Yeah, right. So now we have the information. How about we open that poll now? Get involved on Twitch where you can have your vote. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a favor, new tab, open up your Twitch app, whatever you want to do. Get involved on Twitch. That is where the poll will be. And whichever one of these mighty fine matchups you see below here, that will be our next feature match. Now, Joe did pick the Enzoroark. I got it 2 times there, but I don't think we've had Gardevoir Jellicent on stream actually so far this weekend, no?
Possibly earlier on in the day, but I don't think we saw much of it. It may have been a matchup where it wasn't all that useful, perhaps. Maybe we saw a bit of frillish action, but that has been a tug of war that we've seen with Gardevoir. It feels like it can change every week based on TM Evolution, TM Turbo Energize, which has popped up.
Yeah, true.
Seeing the Jellicent coming in, seeing the Mega now being discussed. We saw Rahul talking about that was his choice this weekend, as did Gustavo Wada to his victory in Belo Horizonte. So there seems to be a lot of wiggle room with that top pick.
Yeah, I think we were discussing, I was discussing yesterday actually, you Gardevoir players, you guys are sport for choice. Imagine having Jellicent Mega Gardevoir, Drifloon, Bravery Charm, and you have your pick. Oh,
Yeah.
Turbo Energized build as well. You know, we even saw Enamorus.
I know.
So Enamorus. I don't get to say
Aban getting very cheeky.
I love Enamorus as one of my favorite, pun not intended. So seeing that, but I never thought I'd see it on a regional stage. Let me tell you that, Pepe, let alone in the final. So you Gardevoir players, you guys have a lot of choice, sport for choice.
Yeah, that Enamorus, when I first looked at that card, I thought that has no playable sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
It could only deal more damage when your opponent had the same type as you in play. So that really limits it for Gardevoir just to exactly Psychic and sometimes Dark if you have a Pheasantipsy down and they have a Dark Pokemon down as well. But there are just so many great abilities in the format right now that you can still get this Pokemon into mix. Because there are the Duskulls, because there are the Munkidori in every deck, because there are all of the Latias and Mew EX in the aggressive matchups, because of Gimmighoul even, you can get so much value out of this Enamorus that seemed on paper to be pretty poor, but Aban found a really great use for it.
I loved it. I loved it. Maybe there was an Enamorus V that had an interesting ability. I didn't see no play. However, we do have something more for me we can look at, a little bit more than an Enamorus, let's say. And we have our bracket ready, I believe, that we can consult. Here we go. Look how much you've had to zoom out. A full top 16.
Yeah, this is everyone. Everyone's here in top 16. We've given you 4 of them to pick from for our next round. Trying to do a quick rundown just off the top of my head of what decks we have here. Some really key matchups. I can go through all of them, I suppose.
Yep,
so on the top we have Kai and Yulio. That's going to be Dragapult Dusknoir versus Gardevoir Jellicent. Bit of a classic matchup going on there. But that's also in the poll, the Piper versus Kim matchup, the one below it. That's Enzoroark versus Gardevoir Jellicent. Alexander up against Janus. That is Dragapult Dusknoir again, up against a Terra Toolbox by the looks of things. Then we have Gabrielle and Louis. That's Enzoroark versus Golden Go. So one of those making it into the top cut at least. Simon up against Alejandro is going to be another Terra box. So a couple of them have snuck their way in, Shay. Simon on the Dragapult Dusknoir build. World champion Henry Brand with Dragapult Dusknoir up against Thomas with that Flareon. So a few Noctowl builds actually in that equation right now. Carter also on Terra Box. That's the one with the Megas, of course. Don't forget that. Up against Hermione with the Charizard deck. So still one of those in the asymmetrical cut. And then Felix and Alberto are both clashing with different builds of the Dragapult. So lots of Dragapult, lots of Noctowl in the mix as well. A couple of Gardevoir, as you'd expect. One Charizard, one Golden Go, if I'm counting that correctly. And the Enzoroark in the mix as well with a couple of those pilots.
Love that. I wish I picked Turbox my cards prediction now. I mean, I think it's really well played. I wish I did. 3 in top cut there, including the little Mega Hybrid.
I know.
I would love to see how that pans out. So now we had a look at our bracket. I think our community choice results are in, and I want to see.
There's no wrong answer here.
Kim Bass, a good choice.
Piper and
good
Kim.
Choice.
Yeah, the Enzoroark. Kim on the Gardevoir Jellicent as well. Kim also a champion, a special event champion.
Yep.
So someone who we have seen on the top tables, also a number of top cuts at the regional level as well. So Jellicent does give you a chance with some item lock and with some devolution strategies going on. It means you can get really particular with where you're placing the damage. You're probably not going to fall into the pitfall of Reshiram, but you don't really have to in that matchup because Zorak's already a dark type, so it can already clear the board of the Gardevoir very quickly. So going to be a tricky one for Kim to navigate, but Piper really has been one of the stories of this tournament, been on the top tables throughout.
Really has. We had her on stream yesterday. Demolished on stream, to be honest with you, and that just kept up her run of destruction all the way through this event. She was flying high on the tables all the way, and now she found herself in the asymmetrical top cut here. But even though it looks like on paper we've got Dark versus Gardevoir, I really always call item lock the great equalizer, because you can have the answers, but if you're item lock and your hand is full of items, the answers aren't going to be found at the end of the day.
Ironically, even in Piper's interview yesterday, she was saying she added Darmanitan to help with the Gardevoir matchup, because she wasn't that confident with the Gardevoir matchup, especially with Gardevoirs tending more back towards the Bravery Charm, Drifloon, high damage output, single prizes. That's still really problematic for Zoroark. So I imagine, you know, based on what she said in the interview, we could see some action with Darmanitan trying to still get into that mix to be a one prize Pokemon within all those multi prizes and still being able to carve out some chaos if there's going to be too much damage coming onto Kim's single prize Pokemon.
100%. So I would love to see some flame body can. We ain't seen that in a while. So we have a little bit of a job to do, Joe. We have to go grab Piper and Kim, get them ready. So while we do that, how about we hear from the woman herself, Piper, and her experiences in Pokemon, and then we'll be coming back with our asymmetrical top cut match next.
Agora já é o top cut, ótimo. Cabelinho do pato.
The first Pokemon game that I played was Pokemon Black and White 2. My first experience with competitive cards was after getting some cards in like 2nd grade, and then my parents were like, oh, you should go to a league, and then it kind of just snowballed from there. My first memory of competing is probably the 2013 World Championships in Vancouver. I lived in Oregon at the time, so it was an easy 6-hour drive, and Worlds is always such a fun experience. My favorite Pokemon is probably Goomy. I don't know, he's just a little guy. In the community, I look up to a lot of top players. I have a lot of respect to the Azul Garcia Griego's testing group. They play super well. They always make great meta calls to every event, and it's really impressive to just see their consistency. It'd probably be Cynthia. Very fun fight in the game, so I mean, I'm sure it'd be cool in person. My favorite region is definitely Unova. It was my first game, and also since the first one's Black and White, they added a bunch of new Pokemon, and all the designs are just so unique and cool. And then obviously the sequels in Black and White 2 are really nice instead of just having remakes. I would have to choose Candy because I'm playing Rare Candy in my deck this weekend, so if I won Worlds, I mean, I would probably just, I don't know if I'd call anyone because my parents would probably be there. But yeah, they'd be watching on stream at home if they weren't, so I don't know if I need to call anyone.
Se a última geração nova foi a do pato,
before milk, because you have to measure the milk based on how much cereal you have. If you just pour the milk first, then you're gonna have a like completely horrible ratio.
Hey trainers, welcome to Pokemon Championship History, the series where we take a look at some of the most epic and memorable matches in the history of competitive Pokemon. This is the 2015 World Championships.
Here's Super Scoop Up, this is huge. He flips tails. I mean, there's just too many targets for Lysander. Base concedes. Jacob Van Wagner is your 2015 Pokemon TCG World Champion.
You have just witnessed the end of one of the most exhilarating grand finals in Pokemon history, where a relatively unknown deck toppled the big bad bully of the format. But how did we get here? Let's go back to the beginning.
The 2015 Pokemon World Championships are about to begin, so players, get ready to battle. Good luck, everybody!
Greetings, Pokemon fans. I'm Josh J. Woods-Wittenkeller. I'm here with Kyle Pukasukovich, and we are finally ready to start getting on with some Pokemon TCG action.
The metagame is always changing, the cards you use are always changing, so a lot of these players came up with something new, brought it to this tournament. It's a big risk to show up with something that's a little untested or very matchup dependent.
Seismitoad has the attack Quaking Punch, which would deal 30 damage and stop your opponent from playing any item cards next turn. This was completely devastating since the format ran on powerful item cards. Not only that, but that low 30 damage could be pushed up with a combination of Muscle Band, Hypnotoxic Laser, and Verbank City Gym. In ideal circumstances, this would make Quaking Punch deal a colossal 80 damage and leave your opponent's active asleep as well.
Stays asleep. The Dawn fan is not going to be able to wake up this turn.
Simon gives the shrug to the crowd, like, what am I supposed to do about that?
This meant Seismitoad had a ton of partners, all with unique offerings, like Manectric EX, Garbodor, and the Crobat line. which would chip in extra damage via sneaky
Crobat
bite and
aí,
surprise
usado,
bite
jogado
ability.
Put the Zubat down, put her Crobat
Não
down, and oh
competitivamente,
man,
mas jogado ainda.
Shaman just went from 0 to knocked out,
Crobat era
basically
bom.
through Golbat and Crobat damage.
How could anyone avoid Quaking Punch from grinding them down and wanting them
Tem
over?
que chumbar essa mesa no
Especially
chão,
with
senão
Crobat's
a gente
extra
tirou a Maria
pressure.
bate
And I'm
direto
here
na
with the
porra da
player
mesa
just
e
won
leva
in
ela
top
pro outro
4,
campo,
making
principalmente
his
a
way
Maria.
to the Pokemon World Championships Finals, Maze Brennickmeyer.
With 3 in top 16, 2 in top 8, and Mies Breckenmeyer making the final, Seismitoad Crobat was definitely the variant to beat. In steps Jacob Van Wagner with his answer in Archie's Blastoise.
Jacob, on the other hand, coming back to us with Blastoise? What's going on here?
Jacob would aim to get Blastoise into play turn 1 with Archie's ace in the hole. A hard supporter to use, but if you pulled it off, you could grab any water-type Pokemon from your discard pile and put it straight onto your bench. Blastoise was the target, since now, thanks to its deluge ability, you could attach as many water energy as you like to your Pokemon. It worked well with Keldeo EX, who would deal more damage for each water energy it had attached. This led to flashy turn 1s, as seen by Jacob's opponent's face here.
4 energy, 5 energy, deluging them all.
so many
You don't
cards
even
lined
need
up.
that many. Joltik only has 30 HP.
And there we go.
Have some mercy, Jacob.
Lysander for the game. Shaman EX comes out and Secret Sword. Just like that, 2 incredibly quick games. Jacob Van Wagner advances to the finals.
How do you feel about the finals matchup? Do you know who you're playing?
I'm actually not sure.
It's the Blastoise deck. How do you feel about that one?
When I tested that, it was horrible.
This powerful Blastoise play secured Jacob a place in the final, where he would have exactly 1 turn to get that Blastoise out. If he failed, Quaking Punch from Mies would immediately dash any hopes of a win. Jacob had 0 room for error, and the tension in the room rose to breaking point.
All right, it looks like both players are ready to go. Let's kick it off to the match, and let's make some noise for your Masters Finals.
Game 1 began.
Jacob looks like he has a perfect combination of cards.
And you can hear the crowd's relief as Jacob pulled off the Archie combo.
Yep, there's a superior energy retrieval. Plays down the water versus Seeker for the Archie's ace in the hole. Turn 1 Blastoise.
And won the game in less than a minute. Mies never even issued a response.
Turn 1, we are going to see that Secret Sword.
Oh, look at all those waters. Combo wombo. That's the kind of turn that you need
Oh,
to
and
become
Maze
world
scoops
champion.
the game. He concedes. And
Mano, o cara fez deck completamente off-meta
Game 2
que
wouldn't
se
be as
ficou ridículo
straightforward,
por
since
mim.
Jacob was on the ropes.
Maze will put on some pressure right away. So there it is, Hypnotoxic Laser.
And it looks like he did get the sleep flip, so Jacob flipping for sleep tails. That could be a big deal.
But 3 cards from Shaman EX's setup ability bailed him out with computer search, making the Archie's ace in the whole combo possible.
Another Shaman drawing, why not? Digging in deeper, computer search, Ultra Ball. Whoa, wait a second.
I spoke too soon. He's able to play his hand down to 0. We will see a Blastoise.
Time to give them what they came to see.
Which led to a monstrous turn 1 Secret Sword KO.
5 energy, plus a muscle band.
Kidding me? He's gonna knock out an EX on the first turn with Secret Sword.
Oh, look at all that energy.
Tão bom bater em
Pushing the
Mewtwo, né?
off
Essa época
physically,
Mewtwo era
just because there's so
potente.
much energy attached to it.
Goodness.
All Mies can do is hope that Jacob didn't have another KO.
And you could see him shaking his head saying,
oh my goodness.
What do I do now? I have no way to respond to that Keldeo EX.
But he did, making a 6 energy Keldeo monster.
And there it is. There's the water energy and the Secret Sword knockout.
Mies was on the back foot.
And here we go. This is the last turn for Maze. Can he put up a fight here?
And Jacob was able to win on turn 4.
There's just too many ways that Maze concedes.
Resulting in Jacob becoming our 2015 world champion.
Cara, ganhou de Blastoise, filho.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to let us know your favorite competitive Pokemon moment by using the hashtag #PlayPokemon.
Bravo, bravo. O cara foi herói pra caralho.
Swiss is now complete. The top cut awaits. Piper and Kim are raring to go as the voted for match by you guys. My name is Mike. I'm joined by Jesper. We're going to be taking you through the top cut action here as we have a clean top 16 who are going to all be trying to take it on, except for one who didn't quite make it into that top 16. Unfortunately, Drew, the only player to not make the top 16 cut. But for these 2 players, it is now an important moment to try and make their
É
way
a hora
into
do
the top.
corte.
We made ourselves towards the business end of the
É
tournament.
a hora da
First on the
partida
left,
que
we have Kim
define quem
Popega,
vai pro top e quem
very
não
known player
vai.
here on the European circuit. Top 4 at the Stockholm Regionals last season. Top 4 Bochum Regionals 2020. Top 80 Liverpool. And, you know, special champion of Bologna. Pretty good sheet.
Yeah, and a strong player that everyone's going to be watching out for. But this is the player that's been the story of the event. Starting the stream off on our first streamed round, Piper came through and showed us that Enzorok in full action. The Okie Dogie coming through as well, an exciting inclusion. An exceptional player in her own right, and looking to really stream to the top in North America, coming all the way over to Europe to try and compete.
I mean, we were talking about this double header, right? And it makes a perfect chance for, you know, players like Piper to come over and say, well, we can literally play 2 regionals, win 10 days. So why not do that? And we're looking here at the prize cards. Secret box prize for both players.
Who needs a
Meu
box when your
Deus,
opponent
dois
doesn't have a
tem
box?
caixa,
We'll see how they
coisa
can
boa.
both function.
Pô, pior que a mente do Lorca é boa, hein,
one
velho?
of in every deck.
Contra
And
Guard.
they're not able to use it, both for consistency here as we kick things off. Piper going first. Now, this is a matchup many will be familiar with from Pittsburgh. Oh, instant pass. Enzorok in to Gardevoir with Jellison. Tell us a bit more about it.
Yeah, typically this has been renounced as a very bad matchup on the Zorark side. There are a few, not on Zorark side, excuse me, on the Gardevoir side of things. We saw that with Liam Halliburton in Pittsburgh winning the final against Aban Ahmed. And I think the importance here is that can Kim get set up faster than Piper and try to build an advantage? If that doesn't happen and Piper actually gets to catch up, doesn't get caught up by Frillish, for example, or the Jellison itself, then the weakness advantage is going to play really much in favor of Piper.
We've spoken about that weakness advantage at the recent events. Gardevoir, the strongest deck and the most prevalent deck, almost 20% when you include both sides at all these events. And it seems to be, if you can beat it, you're willing to take bad matchups elsewhere. And Enzorok seems to be the prime example of that. A very powerful deck into archetypes like Gardevoir, as well as some of the other top decks like Dragapult. But it really is knowing that it's such a big percentage of the field that you can take that risk. And Piper has done so. Stayed on those top tables throughout the tournament. 3 ties today to secure the top cut, ending with that 9-0-4 record. Didn't have to win too much as they had such a strong performance in day 1.
And that's also what helps you when you're playing in phase 1 and you get these good records, right? The pressure's not on as much as it could have been had you gone into phase 2 with 5-2-1, for example. So it's really good for players like Piper, get to have that, you know, bit of more of a chill day and feel secure to top cut. Although it's you know, not easy for Piper to do all these things whenever we're in this, you know, the business end of the tournament. Very importantly, we have to mention that, you know, she's just getting everything from the performance that we've had previous.
Exactly, as the first deck check from Kim resulting in Roltz going down. There's one in hand as well, that new Roltz from the Mega Evolution set. And I think it's important to mention the Gardevoir base strategy, and it's being executed perfectly here for Kim. Just trying to get into the Gardevoir as soon as possible. Evolution, allowing you to get to the Curliers, so you're one step closer to the Gardevoir.
Just a single Curlier here of the Evolution, has the other one in hand. None of them are prized.
Eu achei que a Piper, ele tinha começado, foi a Piper
which Piper really wanted here. This Cyrano being able to search
só
out
botou os
3
dois
Pokemon EX.
passou,
You have
né?
2 Sarus in play, Mike. What do we go ahead and get here?
Yeah, 3 Enzorok, amazing. Not just the Enzorok EX that are available, you also have the Petron EX, Pheasantipity EX, and the Okidogi EX. So great options beyond just those evolution Pokemon. But here, the Enzorok EX, the key pillar of this deck. Why is it so powerful?
Get to draw cards. Look at the trade ability. Discarding a card from your hand, being able to draw 2 cards per Zoroark you have in play. So as we saw with Piper yesterday, having 3 Zoroarks in play, well, you can trade and draw 6 cards. We did see the Okidogi being a big element of the stream matchup Piper had. Not going to be that huge today since there's no cornerstone.
É, build mais similar ao que eu jogo mesmo.
Yeah, that dark type as well, such a big factor for the card. Being able to hit for weakness into Gardevoir. Limited damage output with that Night Joker, normally copying En's Reshiram. Virtuous Flame for 170. And when you can double that into 240, that knocks out pretty much everything in Kim's side. The only thing that really can survive is the Lillie's Clefairy in the active, and that's just close within range of just 190 HP. So as you see, those trades coming through, discarding resources you don't want to see for the rest of the game, and lots of recovery in the deck too, in case you want to bring stuff back later on.
And then you may be thinking, how do we then deal with this Lillie's Clefairy, right? Well, we've seen Mochi from the side of Piper, but as you mentioned yourself, Petron being able to poison these Zoroarks themselves, being that Virtuous Flame would ideally just deal 210 plus poison, thereby knocking out the Clefairy. So on Kim's side, whatever he attacks with is not going to be safe.
To see more of those Enzarua. Many matchups, you'd limit how many of these Enzarok you develop because you don't want to fill your bench up with them. But seeing as it's both the engine and the attacker in this matchup, it's very valuable to fill the board with it, and you don't need anything else. Maybe some Monkey Dories later on, if there's some damage to move about. The key factor here for you guys at home who are watching is this is very favoured for that Enzarok. Piper is in a strong position with this deck, and it's going to be up to Kim to find unorthodox routes, ways to develop a board that will catch Piper off guard and be able to take the victory.
And one of those ways of doing it is that when we're looking at Piper's list, playing just one of these M's Resher Ram, and when you're playing one of these, and you can get out something like the Jelly Scent, being able to actually knock out that Resher Ram. With the Jelly Scent in the active position, you can shut off item cards, meaning that Piper will not be allowed to have an attacker in play at that spot. And if you can get to knock out that Resher Ram with the Jelly Scent, have that in the active position, shutting off tools, shutting off items, Night Stretcher's not going to be able to get that Resher Ram back, meaning that Piper would be out of attackers. So if Kim successfully can pull that off, that's one of the unorthodox strategies we might be able to see being able to swing it in Kim's advantage.
Yeah, interesting. Enz Reshiram typically seen as a 2 count in most Enzarok deck. Why can Piper get away with just the 1 in this version?
In this version, Piper does have, you know, alternatives, right? We have Eveltal, we have Okidoki. There has to be cut somewhere, right? And there's, of course, also the Petron EX, speaking of that. But the main one we're thinking about is the Enstramoniton. That is not something we typically see, and whenever you're playing something we don't typically see, you have to make space for the deck list.
Exactly, as the Enz Reshiram does come down. The Lily's Clefairy hitting for 180 in the previous turn, so the active Enzarok now has damage on it, and the other attack of Reshiram very much like seeing damage on the Enzarok. The powerful rage, 20 times the number of damage on the active Pokemon, so that will be able to potentially get a return knockout here, but it is about that pace. You mentioned Kim will have to be aggressive here, trying to take big knockouts with the Gardevoir as soon as possible. And due to using Lily's Clefairy, hasn't needed to get the Gardevoir in play.
We're just Piper getting all the way to 4 Sword EX in play, being able to draw 8 cards a turn. Literally saying to Kim, you're never going to be able to disrupt me at all. And you're saying, well, we are saying that Kim has to be aggressive here. Who takes the first 2 prize KO? Piper got that. And with Mew being down, it's an easy target. So we could just be seeing this 2-2-2 prize map. We do see the knockout for Clefairy right here.
Our first knockout of our top 16 match, Piper with Enzarok knocking out the Lily's Clefairy as Kim promotes a Curlier. Taking the secret box off the prize cards, Piper also getting the Enstar Manitan, which will now open up more options.
As if, you know, drawing 8 cards straight wasn't enough. You just get down to secret boxes straight out, whatever you'd like on your turn. And as Piper, she's looking at it being like, well, we just got embarrassment of riches here when it comes to it. And Kim is just in struggle town right now. It's so hard to figure out for Kim what to use here. The Mew cannot be a reliable attacker, because if you copy Night Joker, you don't have many Pokemon on your own bench. And then you're struggling to find, how do we first of all KO the Zoroark? It has 100 HP left, which is not too great in that context. You can't attack with Gardevoir, because then there's just another Zoroark with like Ns PP up, and I like being able to power that up, so...
Deixa a Gardevoir na
sitting in
frente, falando pro próximo Zoroark é muito perigoso.
It's not where I want to be sitting.
Looking really tough, and the challenge there of the Mew EX restart, drawing up to 3 cards, has an Arven, an Ultra Ball, and NG. We'll just be playing that Arven now, debating whether to use the Ultra Ball to maybe find a Pheasantipity or the Gardevoir, but now is going to be playing first with that Arven. And this is what we mentioned before. When a matchup is favorable towards one deck, in this case it's Piper, you really have to find an unusual route. But with Piper going ahead early, when it's unfavored, that just mounts so much more challenge. And everything that Piper has done here is going to be safe and secure. You've got all of the trades. You've got the ability to take knockouts whenever you want. It really is going to have to be an unorthodox route from Kim.
We saw that yesterday with the Control versus Dragon Ball matchup. We saw the game 1 from Control, which had the kind of lead in that matchup, the favorability there. Doing and executing a perfect game 1 into, you know, a crutched game 2 and 3, where we could be potentially looking at a resequence of that. And I mean, certainly Kim wants Piper to potentially to be struggling in an eventual game 2 and game 3 to be able to swing it a bit, because here in this matchup, if Piper get everything she wants, it's not a real big contest. But one of the markers that we see here is that the Gardevoir is finally down on the board. This is where Kim can start to actually play the game.
Well, we'll see what the attacker of choice is. will be that screen tail. So one way that Kim can try and win this is just keep presenting one prize options in the active spot and take those knockouts there and hope that can win a turn back from Piper, because getting set up for Piper is still needed. Needs to find energy this turn to develop those Enzorok. Has a big hand, has 3 Enzorok in play. Let's see what happens.
But you got to be thinking about here, Mike. The secret box was taken from those prize cards, so whenever Piper needs En's PP up, Petron and all that, it's gonna come in sequence. All of this in just a second. But Festivity coming in here, drawing even more cards, and if we can see something like a Boss's Orders this turn with the attack on top, you know, it's everything in Piper.
Flip the script plus 3 trades. That is a lot of cards. That's 9 cards, while thinning some cards you don't want to see out. As well as that secret box in hand, Piper will be able to do whatever she wants this turn. You mentioned about Boss's Orders. You know, you've got that Gardevoir EX on the bench, the Mew EX too. So at this stage, Piper able to do everything that's possible. Let's talk about Secret Box. What a card. It is featured in so many of our top decks. Whether it is Enzorok, Gardevoir, Marnie's Grimmsnarl. Many of them using it to help with setup, but it's also got so much power throughout the game.
It's a good shout out to the computer search we had about 10 years ago. Speaking of Shay's 2015 Worlds video, right? You know, when you're starting with Secret Box, you know you're going to have a good game. When you start with computer search back in the day, you knew you were going to have a good game. Secret Box is just the opener for everything. You'll be able to get stuff like, if you're playing Artist on your deck, you can get more basics, you can get Buddy Puff, and you get a supporter for the turn. Secret Box is the glue that binds most of these decks together, whether that be Sark, whether that be Gardevoir. Both of them are playing Secret Box. And, you know, an ace pick like that is just the element of consistency you can get out of it is insane.
Especially if the deck has intrinsic power. We see the air balloon on the active Enzorok. A disruptive stadium in play won't disrupt the Gardevoir deck, but the Boss's Orders coming through onto the Gardevoir EX. The active Enzorok powered up, copying the En's Reshiram Virtuous Flame. Will be taking a knockout. Another 2 prizes for Piper. It is now on Kim to try and find a way to disrupt and win this game. It's going to be very hard. 4 prize cards still to take.
And I mean, Piper counting out their deck right now, yeah? Looking at it, it's so thin. Kim has to try and find a comeback. But it feels like if you're playing Iono, you're giving Piper 2, +1 for top deck, +6 for draw, so it's like giving them 9 cards to see anyway. And that means Boss's Orders has to be the one. But we do see that Iono has to play his chances here.
This is where all those trades come in really vital, being able to get rid of the cards you don't want to see in the end game. And Piper has done a lot of thinning, a lot of drawing. We'll only see 2 cards off this Iono. So there is a world where Kim is able to take this knockout on the active and force a lot out of Piper, but it's going to be a real challenge, as it looks like it's just going to be a Scream Tail into the active.
We did see Boss's Orders. Boss's Orders this game here. And even just, you know, getting attachment on a Zorag on the bench is fine. We get to see 6 cards being drawn here. If there's a boss within those 6 cards, that's mighty fine, right? And then we get to the point where we want to be. But even just snacking the KO on
ela sabe quantas boss tem no deck, ela sabe quanto ela vai ter que mexer pra comprar essa
if we can start to attach to another Zorag, potentially the one on the far left of Piper's side there, then we'd be able to see everything happening. So it's just, is there a boss coming?
Well, we'll see a few trades to get there. Might not even need to try and win this turn. We'll have a bit of time potentially, but looking to just try and find that Boss's Orders. And there Boss's Orders onto the Gardevoir EX. Piper cleanly dishes out another knockout. 2 prizes taken 3 times. And Piper wins game 1.
We need Fable, good old 2-2-2 prize map, right, Mike?
Exactly, and the consistency there, the setup from Piper made it so likely.
I mean, you're getting free, you get 4 Zorag EXs out, you're basically drawing whatever you want to in the deck, also snacking that secret box off the first couple of prizes. Great, you see the Cyrano here, grabbing triple Zorag EX, and that's where the party started, right? Trade, draw 2 cards, trade! Gonna be looking at, do I need any of these cards? No, getting up to 4 Zorag EXs in play and just trading away for 8 cards a turn.
Yeah, and being able to use it as your attacker in the matchup with that Dark type will swing into pretty much anything for the knockout on Kim's side. So it was just about finding those Boss's Orders, and the first one was fairly simple to get, thanks to the secret box, and then it was just a few trades for the last one to get it. But Kim tried to get ahead, but it was so fast from Piper, the setup was so clean.
We do have to mention that, Kim was struggling a little bit in the opening. Had to be using restart as, the kind of crutches to actually help him get going. And unfortunately, that didn't end up panning out for him. Where what Kim wants in this matchup still, go second, force Piper to go first. Hopefully Piper doesn't open that fast a setup as they had last time, and Kim potentially be able to do something like, you know, Frillish and Oceanic Gloom turn 1. Pretty much playing like as if you're playing with Budju and just going for that, but it doesn't look like we're seeing a Frillish here.
Exactly, and I think what you mentioned there is the perfect start for Piper is get a few Enzo Rua down, get access to Enzorok as soon as possible, which is exactly what happened in game 1. And let's have a look at those prize cards. Secret box
again
in the same spot for Kim.
Yeah, we do see double buddy puffin for Piper in those, but we see a secret box opening. As I said, if you're starting secret box, Mike, you're gonna have a game.
And I think this time Piper will be looking to do much the same as last time. Get those Enzo Ruas down and find a way to get the Enzorok. So you see the buddy puffin slam straight down. Easy choices here, and this just comes from the experience. Piper just going so fast here, knowing the deck inside and out.
One thing I really love about seeing Piper play is that, you know, these opening turns, we know exactly what we want to get down. Secret boxes, even discarding double Cyrano, knowing that this Hilda is going to be able to grab energy and sword regardless, and then we don't need that Cyrano for nothing.
Amazing, just thinning all the cards out that are for the setup. Won't need them as the game goes on. And a quick little prize check here for Piper. I mean, if you're Kim, you're thinking, right, need a little bit of a slower start here from Piper. And the secret box revealed a turn 1 secret box. Doesn't get much better than that.
And Kim's just not catching any breaks here. Piper opening with secret box, getting into that buddy pop, and you know what, there's going to be more deck searches because Artisan's going to come down. You can get this third Sarua. And one thing I really want to see from Piper is there actually any Zoroarks hiding in there, making more of a sense to grab, you know, that Hilda. If you have, you know, 1, 2 Zoroarks already, yeah, grabbing the Hilda means you get a Zoroark and an energy, and then we can start piling on that pressure.
And the Artisan going down as well. Typically, a tough decision to put down when you're going first because you're worried about giving it to your opponent. But why might Piper not be worried about giving away the Artisan here?
In this matchup, you're going to be thinking about yourself. If you have such an advantage in the matchup, just by purely, weakness and how the deck's matching up against each other, you don't really care. What you care about is yourself. And Piper knows, if I set up, if I get my attackers going, I will probably win. And in that situation, you know, top players like Piper would be thinking, well, let's just focus on ourselves first, and then we can start to think about, okay, is Kim going to do anything I'm actually threatened about? And then that answer is just going to be no.
So now Kim starting off the game, going second, does have access to the supporter on their first turn, looking to try and set up as well as possible. Last game, I think it's fair to say Kim had a pretty strong setup, just not having that ability to use Frillish early on. Otherwise, it was pretty much perfect, you know, evolving into Curlier, having 2 Rolts down, getting the Gardevoir. Maybe just those 2 prize liabilities like the Mew EX requirement and the Lillie's Clefairy made it tougher. But there are some great options for Kim in terms of single prize attackers. We've got the Monkey Dory, the Screamtail. Is that going to be part of Kim's plan this game, do you think?
It has to be, right? It has to be forcing Piper to draw as many cards as possible. Playing those boss's orders, because if Piper ends up having to grab one of these 1 prize knockouts, we would end up in a spot where Kim can then start reeling back the advantage. But it does require that Kim gets to set up a lot faster than last time. And unfortunately for Kim, he doesn't play Air Balloon in this list like we've seen, for example, Aban doing in the Jellicent and Guardy version. Because, you know, if you have something like Air Balloon, you can go Arven, Air Balloon, and go Frillish turn 1. But that's not an option unless, if you're in Kim's shoes at least, are starting with Frillish.
And also wanting to go Arven Secret Box. It is prized again, Kim. Unfortunately for you, your ace spec eludes you once again.
And it's even like top prizes, so it's not going to be there for the entirety of the game, mate.
Yeah, and the Earthen Vessel, the first play here to get some energy. You know, we've seen Gardevoir so many times.
Rapaz, ele tá realmente marcando o deck inteiro mesmo, porque eu olhei o celular um monte de coisa aqui, eu olhei, o cara ainda tá nessa busca da Vessel ainda.
We'll be seeing what Kim is capable of. Game 1 was just too much pressure from the Enzorok, and having looked at what Piper's done, you'll be thinking, right, she's got 3 Enzoruas down. She's discarded Cyrano, so she's confident that she can set up these Enzoroks. So Kim will be thinking, I've got to do something exceptional this turn.
If I was in Kim's seat and I was seeing, you know, Secret Box discarding 2 Cyrano, you'd be like, what is Piper holding? That hand must be amazing if you decide to do that. Because throwing away double Cyrano is basically like throwing away triple Zoroark.
Yeah.
Voluntarily.
Well, there we go, the Dark and the Psychic coming off of the Earthen Vessel. We'll be discarding that Psychic alongside the Artisan, as Piper so kindly presented it for Kim already. And we'll be now getting a Pokemon with that Ultra Ball. Now, Ultra Ball is a card that has been in the Pokemon TCG a long time. The discard of 2 cards in exchange for a Pokemon, it's so consistent in every list.
Yeah, we had it since Dark Explorers came out in 2012, Mike. That's, you know, a good 13 years we've had that card. And there's a reason why every single deck play it. You may be thinking, well, I'm getting rid of 2 cards. Yes, you are, but you're getting any Pokemon you want to. Cards like Nest Ball, back in the day we had Quick Ball too. You know, those cards could be played for free, but they came with that stipulation that was basics only. Here we get to get anything, and on top of that, the Ultra Ball discarding, you know, in your Gardevoir deck, you're getting to discard your Psychic Energy too.
Amazing. The synergy of Gardevoir is exactly why it is the most popular and most successful deck in our current format and the last few formats too. It has a target on its back and is a big factor as to why players like Piper have selected these dark-type decks like Enzoroark. And the Mew EX has come down once again, reliant on some restart draws to see new cards, as these starting hands haven't been as strong as Kim has wanted. Finds an Arven again, and I'm sure he was hoping to find an Iono after seeing such a strong first turn from Piper, knowing there must be a route to getting set up, considering the secret box.
Yeah, and Kim's just looking through here at the Arven, kind of biting himself, right? No secret box once again. It feels like the world has just turned on Kim in this case. And I do really feel for Kim here, you know, actually trying to swing an unfavorable matchup. You need all the help you can get. When we're thinking about that too, if we wanted to go the Jellicent route, well, unfortunate news too there. Jellicent is also prized, and Kim plays that 2-1 line of Jellicent, which makes it so we're not even going to be seeing Jellicent this game, which was one of the strategies I alluded to during game 1, right? So whatever happens here, it looks like a mountain to climb for Kim already.
I'm just passing over just 1 Ralts in play, and the Mew EX available. So some great targets for Piper to target on the bench, and we'll be moving the Enzoroark into the active spot with that subjugating chain. Evolves, takes away the poison, as when Pokemon evolve, they lose their status condition and heal themselves. So Enzoroark now just there. Ends Reshiram with that Artisan, which was put in place. So everything kind of coming together. And whenever we see Piper pick up the pace, we know she's got a line that she's confident in. And it seems like that's the case right now.
Having that Hild in hand, guaranteeing that second energy we need for the Night Joker to copy that Virtuous Flame, which means we're certainly going to see the Monkey Dory go down. Unless we get to see a Boss's Orders potentially targeting that Ralts. And if we get energy plus Boss's Orders, we do get 2 more Zoroarks.
Wow, Enzoroark trading into 2 more Enzoroarks. So many cards available at this stage. And now it almost feels like the Hilda should have played first, you're always going to be getting this evolution Pokemon here. And so Piper now playing the Hilda, as this was the original plan, just to get that energy and another evolution Pokemon.
I mean, it feels like Piper is getting punished for sequencing correctly here.
What an amazing first draw, though, to see another 2 Enzoroark. We mentioned in game 1 as many Enzoroarks as possible, and this time it's going to be 3 kicking off in turn 2 for Piper. And for Kim, there's so much to claw back in this game, but the singular Ralts in play, if it survives, there's options available for Kim.
Yeah, but you have to feel like Piper's on top of the world now. Whenever you're playing Zoroark, the dream is always triple, quadruple Zoroark turn 2, and then it feels like you could just take on the world. Whatever gets thrown at you, there comes the energy. We get to see, you know, Air Balloon going down a second Zoroark is fine, because then it means you have a pivot Pokemon in that Zoroark with the Petron. But yeah, getting the knockout on the Monkey Dory and then telling Kim, on you.
Acho que eu entendo a ideia. Ah, não, ali da frente tem balão também, né?
2-2-2 with the prize cards. We'll be taking a 1 prize knockout in this early stage, as Kim didn't evolve into Curlier. A rare candy would be required this turn, and based off of his low hand size, we saw
se morrer esse Zoroark, aquele é o Zoroark que só sobe pra poder voltar de graça. Mesmo que der merda,
hand size, you prized one of your 2 Gardevoirs, you prized your secret box,
pra preparar o outro
you need to hit one
Zoroark
of your
ali
2
no
rare candies, you need to hit your
eventualmente.
last Gardevoir piece, maybe potentially an Ultra Ball, but you can't play an Ultra Ball when you have that much of a low hand size. You know, it's just stacking against and against Kim every single time we're mentioning it, right? And, you know, typically with Gardevoir in these current circumstances as well, you wanted to use that TM evolution turn 1. We didn't see that either. So every single time we're asking, Kim, do you have this? The answer would just always be, no.
And for you, Jesper, you've been at so many tournaments in your time, and you'll definitely be going into every tournament thinking, this is a bad matchup. I hope I don't have to play against it. But how do you feel when you go into that matchup, especially in a high importance match like this, a top 16? What's Kim going to be feeling right now against Enzorok?
Kim has to feel like this was a horrible matchup heading in. Kim has, of course, been seeing, you know, what happened in Pittsburgh, has been testing this matchup too, and Zorok wasn't that well represented. So it's, you know, almost the ultimate counter deck to Gardevoir. There are a few slimmer of pieces you can do, but whenever you're facing a bad matchup, typically it requires you to draw really, really hard. And speaking of hard, we do see Rare Candy and Gardevoir in hand. But do we actually want to be doing that this turn? Because when we put that Gardevoir into play, we kind of let Piper know that there's a time for boss.
Well, we saw the boss's orders in Piper's hand as well, but at this stage, maybe the Monkey Dory coming in to put some damage in play, but with the Petrunk combination, you can just completely reset that. So this is going to be really tough. A lot of ability to move damage about now with 2 Monkey Dories established with Dark Energy. So
Cara, nessa situação aí ele reseta a
but
condição de qualquer
he's not
coisa.
really an obvious attacker at this stage for Kim on board.
I do slightly want to touch on, you know, the
vai
factor
deixar
of
dano ainda,
Petron
que
here.
é mais
Petron
letal
here
depois.
lets you retreat your Pokemon, and
É mais letal ainda.
but with
Mas
Zork,
vai fazer não.
you're
É
able to just toss
bater
it
e
and
deixar
give it poison.
confuso, né?
But then be able to
Ó,
free
tem
retreat
pra
because of the
fazer.
air balloon. It's like playing Latias for stage 1.
Pois não.
Amazing
Porque vai que toma, né? Order e
stability
tal.
on board, but the Adrenabrains will be used now.
Vai passar
being able to move
20,
30
passa
damage,
pra
up to
ele,
30
passa
damage
ele, né?
from any of your Pokemon over to your opponents. And you can see
Passa
2
pra lá mais
uses of
20,
that ability.
bateu
And we'll just
60
be
com
using
confusão.
that Mind Bend into the
Aí agora vai
end
fazer um
zone,
esquema, vai
putting
usar
80 damage
peste,
on
vai
it,
recuar de
including that
graça,
Adrenabrain.
enfim.
And now for Piper,
Vai
knows that
resetar
she
a
can attack
condição
again next
dele
turn,
e
but we'll
é
have
isso
to try
aí.
and establish more of a board for the future. This is the key with the way Piper plays. She's always thinking ahead, always thinking about future turns and how to establish as much
Nessa
of her board as
situação ela sai
possible.
regastando
Unfortunately,
ali.
we do
Depois
see
da
the
boia,
combination of
falei, ó,
Petron
resetou
moving up that
condição,
Zork
ele
with air
voltou
balloon,
normal.
quickly just signaling I'm going to retreat
Vai
that
dar
back
pause na
and
guard,
be able to attack
provavelmente.
once more. And
Que o reset
basically,
ela já tem.
you know, oh, boss's orders got
Pegou mais
even
2 sprites,
worse.
tirou a guard da
Wow, there
mesa.
we go. The dream turn we mentioned. That boss's orders was sitting in that hand for a while and being able to completely
Ainda energizou atrás para já preparar um amigo, né? Caso
That's
precise.
such a powerful position to be in as a player.
abraço.
She knew looking at her hand that was available the whole time. She just did all these other things to help set up for the future. So Kim now 3 prize cards down versus Piper. Piper has just got 3 remaining. Kim has 6 to take. A huge uphill battle.
Yeah, you kind of want to try and start to see where the prize map can then fall, right? You're looking at, well, how does Kim actually take 6 prizes here? The answer is, I don't know. Because when you're looking at Piper's side, there's an easy way of grabbing free prizes. If Kim doesn't get Rare Candy Gardevoir, there is a Night Stretcher in hand, maybe potentially...
Eu acho que até com Hurricane Gardevoir ali tá difícil, né? Que ele mil ali é uma fragilidade fodida na mesa, infelizmente.
Really big opportunity to go ahead and knock out
Mesmo que
potentially
é,
first
porque
Monkey
se eu
Dory,
tentar trabalhar a
and then
partida
you have
só
targets
no
in the
Monkey Dory
Festivity
para dar
right
menos
there,
prize,
and immune right there.
ela fica resetando condição e matando os Monkey Dory. Aí a hora que tiver pouca vida dá tudo e segue.
Does Iono work against Zork? Not quite, because Piper's just drawing all the cards she wants.
Especially with that subjugating chain from Petrant EX.
Oh yeah.
Always allowing you to reset the board. And Kim will just be discarding more of those energy.
Teria que tentar botar, apesar que troca por qualquer
but it's not
por
going to
Dart, né?
knock
Isso que é
out an
foda.
Enzorok. So Lily's Clefairy makes
Qualquer
sense as
velho.
an attacker because it can reach that damage output, and it forces a lot out of Piper to get the return knockout unless there is a gust available. And so asking the biggest questions possible. They're not exactly huge questions when it comes to the Pokemon TCG. You're not forcing a lot out of Piper in these scenarios.
Imaginei,
You are certainly asking, are you able to take these knockouts? Still needs to get the Gardevoir in play. There's a lot to do. And
Ah,
it's
falei?
gonna be
Muda nada.
Kim conceding here, a tough matchup.
Muda nada,
Too
muda
much
nada.
to do to come back in this one.
Ele
And
até
Piper
desistiu
is
e nem
through
foi
to
até o
top
final,
8.
coitado.
And Piper through to the top 8.
Quero essa lista pra ontem, Piper. Posta pra nós. Quero ver se seu Zorak tá bravo pra ver o que eu faço. Mas essa match é muito de boa,
Zorok on
mesmo,
stream,
do
and there's
Zorak.
probably a reason why
Muito
to it.
boa.
When Zorok sets up these massively powerful boards, you just get to see it again. We do, unfortunately, get to see a replay here.
Toda
Turn
vez
two,
que eu joguei
double
contra
Zorok.
Gardevoir e Zoroark, geralmente eu
That's the
amassei,
perfect
é
start.
muito
Both
difícil.
games, Piper set up well.
Isso que meu Zoroark era mais torto, né? Esse Zoroark aí tá bem mais
And we
consistente.
saw 4
O Zoroark era bem
play, and
mais
that meant
torto que
4
esse aí.
trades are available, 8 cards drawn
Nunca
to
senti muito
discard
problema,
4. So
não.
every single turn it felt like Piper got exactly what she needed, copying that Ends Reshiram with weakness to knock out all of the attackers on Kim's side.
Yeah, and with Kim like struggling first of all to find attackers, getting that Red Cane Gardevoir, and as soon as Gardevoir touched the field, you know what happened? Boss's orders, let's take that out, and it just made Kim struggle that much more, right? You know, when you get into a spot like this, and you're just thinking, well, Secret Fox being prized both games, right? To start that off, trading and trading and trading. Kim, you know, typically as a Gardevoir player, Iono is one of your ways to win a matchup like this, where you can kind of lock them into a low hand size. But unfortunately, when you're playing against a deck like Zora,
eu vou falar, o problema de deck Xena nesse tipo de deck é que geralmente ele não para na Xena,
We said
né?
about the setup
Se ele
in
rodou,
game
ele não
2.
para.
You
Ele
saw
vai comprar
Piper
tudo
draw
onde?
2 Enzorok.
Ela não vai
that
diminuir,
first
né,
trade,
o tamanho da mão
and then
dele.
was in
Ela
a
vai
position
reduzir,
of
mas ele
3
vai
Enzorok
refazer
in
ela de
play,
novo, né?
seeing exactly what she needed.
foda.
Had an infallible board with the Petron
As
EX and
maneiras
the
que o
air
guard
ball
tem
on
de
the
lidar,
Enzorok.
ele não
Any
funciona
single time she
bem ainda.
wanted,
É
could
foda, né?
recover from
Matchup
that
bem
mind bend
ruimzinho.
confusion. And in combination with Boss's orders, that Gardevoir EX never
E essa
lasted
versão
long
ainda
on
da
the board.
Piper é
Kim
meio turbão,
always
né?
struggling to get ahead.
Pra ir pra cima.
Yeah, Kim struggling to get ahead,
O
was
Zoroark, que é a
constantly
versão que eu
behind. And if
gosto,
you
né?
want to be
Eu não
swinging in
gosto das
a favorable
versões
matchup,
controles
you've
de
got to get
Zoroark.
ahead early. And when you can't do that, well, it's just going to end
Bom.
up like this, where Kim picks up the cards and says, Piper, you got it.
Parabéns.
Well, Piper
Top
started the
8.
stream off with our first stream
Temos o
round.
Zoroark já
As now
garantido no
shown,
top
she's
8.
en route to the finals,
Calma aí, gente, vem
but
já.
does have a long journey ahead. There's a lot of Gardevoir hanging about in that top 16, so we'll see who Piper has to play later on in the top 8. But as this was quite a quick game, Jesper, I think it's a great opportunity for us to reflect on Enzorok as a deck. What a great choice from Piper, as well as many other top players at this event. What is it about Enzorok that's doing so well here?
I previously alluded on our couch segment to Crustle being Dodge Gardevoir Simulator. And in this case, if you want to hit Gardevoirs, you're playing Zoroark. And when you're playing Zoroark, yeah, it's a try to hit as many Gardevoirs as you can. And in this case, well, Piper had very good luck in hitting Zoroark, as that is the main matchup, the main reason as to why you're playing this deck. You have pretty good matchups all across the board. The Dragapult does snore decks. Well, you have Darmanitan to deal with that. And whenever Dragapult hits you, you can powerful rage for 400 damage. Basically just dismantling the deck on top of playing Monkey Dory yourself in the deck. And, you know, getting into bad matchups, yeah, there are some.
Well, you can see that there, 0.5% of the meta share, very low representation, and that's where it sits at its best. Enzorok likes to be the unknown factor coming into the tournaments. It did so well at Worlds. It's had a regional win already with Pittsburgh, but it tends to be great into those top decks. Gardevoir, Dragapult has strong matchups across the board with the other top decks, but it does struggle in some of these more aggressive decks, especially the ones that have grass type attackers.
Yeah, especially when we're talking like Raging Bolt has that Ogre Pawn or just a Raging Bolt knocking it out. Sometimes, you know, stuff like Cerealage can also be quite annoying. Piper did have a really good interview on that yesterday, kind of going over some of these issues that may be with the deck and how they were looking at trying to solve those. But yeah, there's a reason why we don't see Zoroark that much often. Yes, it is. You want to hit as many Gardevoirs as you can. If Gardevoir is not really played, then you shouldn't be playing the deck really, because then it kind of loses its main selling point. But as we saw, you know, with Liam Halliburton, I think on his way to winning Pittsburgh Regionals, he played it in 9 Gardevoir decks. I mean, that's 9 wins he had right there. And if you want to, you know, play a deck like this, you also have to have a really good eye for the meta. You want to have a really good eye for how you're going to build your deck list. We saw this sort of Mega Absol, Mega Kangaskhan back in Milwaukee, where that was the surprise deck of the tournament. And I would argue here that for this tournament, the quote-unquote surprise deck would be Zoroark.
I think for sure, and we got a little surprise for you. The genius herself, Piper, is ready to talk with Shay about her run so far.
Thank you for that, Mike. And yes, I'm joined with our top 16 winner, Piper Lepine. My first question for you, we just said off camera, this is your first time getting top 8 at a European regional. How are you feeling so far?
I'm feeling great. I'm a lot more well-rested than yesterday. I did not know it was daylight savings, but I woke up today and the sun was out. So yeah, feeling really good. I'm loving the deck, and yeah, my matchups look solid. So hopefully I can take it all the way.
Yeah, as Jesper and Mike did say, there's a lot of Gardevoir littered around that top cut. We just saw you dissect a Gardevoir now. You know, are you very confident in that matchup, would you say?
Yeah, a lot of the builds I'd say I'm pretty good into. Some of the more turbo builds with like 3 candies and the Drifloon can be really tricky because they can prize race you pretty effectively. That's kind of why the Darmanitan's in there. But against the Jellicent, it's super easy. Like, their deck is a little more inconsistent. They don't have ways to take the easy knockouts. Like, they need to have 2 monkeys, and I have to have a full bench for the Clefairy to knock me out. They just can't really deal with my Zoroarks effectively. They have to play for Devo, but with 2 Turos and the Monkey Dories, it's not really anything I have to worry about. I don't know. I think it's just a really good matchup, so yeah.
I can imagine we saw it there play out really well. You know, when you work out it is a Jellicent build, how does that change your gameplay lines?
I have to be a bit careful of the Devo, as I mentioned, since that can kind of wipe my Zoroarks. Benching the Petch is like kind of awkward. I started it in game 2, but it's pretty good since it prevents them like gusting something up and trying to trap it with their Jellicent or Frillish attack. I can kind of just have it in play, don't need to worry about finding it. And then it also provides like a solid attack in the end game if they're able to get that Devo play off. That was something I found at Milwaukee when I was playing Zoroark. I was able to just clean up the game with a Petch run because their board wasn't super strong after the Devo. So other than that, it's kind of like in those games, my opponent had to bench Mew both games, and that kind of ends the game right there. If I'm able to take a 2-prizer before they get a Guardy, it's really easy. Or like, I don't know, benching Mew is just so awful. I can trap it with the Beltal sometimes, and it's just super easy to knock out. It didn't come up in those games because they were drawing so bad, but if they were able to draw out of it, I'd be able to aggress on the Mew and put me on an even prize map, which means there's just like, it's really hard for them to come back from that.
Yeah, I can imagine it's something you definitely don't want to do against Zoroark is bench Mew EX. You want to try and keep that in the hand if possible. Now, Mark and Jesper said something just before they threw to us. They said, potentially, you know, in Milwaukee, the Mega Kangaskhan Absol deck was like the surprise deck, as it were. Could Zoroark be the surprise deck for this event? And if it is, why do you think like yourself and like Gabriel's also playing it in Top Cut? But how have you come to the conclusion that this is the event for Zoroark?
I don't think Zoroark's like a surprise deck anymore. Like, it does well almost every event. I feel like there's usually one in Top Cut or asymmetrical, like ever since Worlds. The deck is just really flexible. It's consistent. You always have your 2 to 3 Zoroarks in play, sometimes 4, as we saw in game 1. Like, if you can set that up, you're just drawing everything. So you kind of just get to play whatever you want in your deck. There's a lot of space to tech, and we can see different lists. Like, we've seen a couple different Arven builds with Toad Scroll, Cornerstone, and many different Cyrano builds with like the Darmanitan and Toad Scroll again. Like, the deck can be tech to beat any like predicted meta. So that's also like an important skill with the deck is if you can predict the meta at a tournament correctly and build your deck correctly, you're gonna do well with the Zoroark. So I don't know, it's not quite a surprise. It's just like getting all that right leads to doing well with the deck.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, we saw in your last game, we didn't get to see it in play, the Enstar Manatan. Yeah. What made you want to include that for this event?
So it's mainly the influx of aggressive Guardy builds to match the Absol box. So as I mentioned, they can kind of prize trade you aggressively. Like, you go to 5 prizes, then they can like Driftloon knockout, go to 4 prizes. So it either lets you take 2 prizes on their attacker and like a bench Ralts, rather than, because if you were to knock out their Guardy, then their attacker would still be there and they'd be able to knock out your next Zoroark, and then you're kind of losing from there. So it lets you take 2 prizes that way while dealing with their attacker, or with the reversal energy, you can attack with the Darmanitan itself and force them to find like a counter catcher or something. Or even if you just take 1 prize with the Darmanitan, now it's 4 to 4, and they have to hit a big Screamtail play, which is really inefficient for them to do.
Wow, so this seems like every card inclusion has its use, and that sounds, we're just having an Zoroark masterclass. I love chatting to you, Piper. So now you're in a top 8 situation. I want to put you on the spot a little bit here. What's your goal for the rest of the day?
I mean, I'd love to win the event, but yeah, I don't know. I'm happy to be in top 8. I've had a bad streak of losing in top 8 the last few months, so hopefully I can at least top 4 though. Get some hardware, like a medal.
Okay, well, let's hope that Lady Luck will be swinging your way. And I actually have another little question for you. Let's say that yourself, you continue through this event and do rather well, and let's say Gabriel does as well, as also playing Zoroark. How do you think that will affect the meta, you know, for a dance, which I think you're going to, right? How do you think Zoroark performance doing well could affect the meta moving forward?
I don't think it'll affect it too much. I mean, Gardevoir continues to just be a super strong deck all the time. Like, it just does everything that a deck could want to do. And Zoroark's just such a low-played deck. It's hard to, like, adjust to it in a week. Like,
yeah.
You can't really learn the deck in a week. It takes a while. I've been playing it since, like, post-NAIC, on and off. So it's also underplayed, as I said. Like, you don't really need to respect it, I feel. You may see it at the top, like top 8, top 16 with Gabriel and I, but if you make it there anyway, you're kind of happy with your event. So you can take the loss to Zoroark until then, it feels. So yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about it changing anything for Gadonks.
Okay, interesting thought process. As you say, you know, Liam did well with it early in the season, but it doesn't ever seem to like quite get the, you know, I want to say respect here from the player base. Yeah. You know what I mean? You never really see it as like a top 5 most played deck, for example, which always intrigues me. I've got one more question, Pipe, before I let you go. I know you're a big inspiration for many women around the world and other players as well. Let's say there's some viewers at home who maybe get involved at a local level, and they want to maybe get involved in more regionals, maybe even internationals. Have you got any tips or tricks for them, or what they could plan for their next event?
I would say just like take the jump and yeah, play the regionals. Like there's kind of a big learning curve at first. It can be a bit of like a stamina task, but it's really fun. I mean, I've been playing the game for like 12 years now, so yeah.
Yeah, and I want to also just double down on that a little bit. I remember my very first regional 9 rounds. God, I was in the hotel afterwards. I was shattered. So make sure you get some reps in, because it really can catch up to you. Thank you so much for your time, Piper. It's been a pleasure. As always, good luck in the rest of your rounds. For now, though, we're going to get back with our top cut action coming up soon, so don't go anywhere.
Well, thank you very much, Shay, and I love hearing Piper's thought process. Such a deep thinker of the game, and so many of our top players are, and it is exactly that reason why they make it to these top cuts all the time.
Yeah, and Piper is someone who, you know, really just thinks about it, has said, yo, I've been playing Zoroark on and off since NAIC, trying to pick the right time to play this deck, and I mean, she hit the nail right on the head here.
Yeah, evidence in the results so far, and still a journey ahead. So that's our top 16 round completed there. But these players have been competing in phase 2, trying to work out which of the best decks will rise to the top. Zoroark, not a very high represented deck, but decks like Gardevoir been incredibly popular at this event.
Gardevoir has been the big dog at the tournament, being on top of the meta share standings. You know, I think it was 12% day 1, 4% Gardevoir Jellicent, combination of 16%, right? And then we ended up at a spot, I think we were over 20% in phase 2. So whenever Piper sat down, there was a 20% likelihood that we had a very good matchup on our hands.
Well, I know you had some interesting moments in that game that you'd love to share with us. It was a favored matchup for Zoroark, but still there were some highlights of the way Piper was playing.
Yeah, indeed there was. And when we're thinking about the way that Piper was playing the matchup, it was seemingly obvious what the attempt was to do, right? Our attempt was definitely to go ahead and look at a board and be like, well, how do I push the massive advantage here? And what I really like that Piper does in this case is that we're sitting down, we're counting the deck. And why do we want to be counting the deck? Well, we want to be certain that we know exactly how many cards we have left to calculate our odds of drawing the cards we want to have. So therefore, that is a fantastic job of Piper really realizing that whenever I'm going to be drawing with trade, whether I draw 2, 4, 6, 8 cards with trade plus festivity, that we calculate our odds first in terms of being able to sequence the right way. You know, do we want to play a card that can dig out another card of the deck, thereby giving us a better option? That's what we want to be looking at. And then continuing on with this, you know, counting out a bit and seeing that, what's my odds of hitting what I want? What's my odds of hitting boss's orders for game here, right? Then we continue to look, okay, how many do I actually have left? Going on, trade, drawing 2 cards, and really just aiming for that 1 card. Then forgetting to unmark the cards, but yeah, trading for the second time, drawing 2 cards, not hitting the boss quite yet, but trade, 3rd time's the charm, and we get that boss's orders coming right there onto the Gardevoir.
The final card.
The final card of the trade on top of that, but it just goes to show that whenever you're drawing that many cards, yes, there's some variance to it, but you're giving yourself the best likelihood possible to even be able to win the game. And we just see Kim, yeah, get the boss's orders.
You got it. That's all it took. And when you say about counting the deck there, it's even stuff like Iono, which is one of those cards we see across the board, putting those cards on the bottom. And if you recognize how many were in that previous hand, being able to then count down, amazing recognition there. And it's all these bits of information that the average player might not even think to utilize, but only players right at the top like Piper who are capable of taking all of this information in to make the most optimal decision. And because of that, has successfully made it into top 8.
And of course, something we've seen on stream oftentimes in previous tournaments has been Isaiah Bradner, wherever he's been playing. He's always been looking at his hand whenever he gets Iono or plays Iono himself, really just looking into the hand, trying to remember.
Galera, vou parar o react, né, vamos dizer assim. Vou parar de assistir aqui o campeonato, pelo menos em live, tá? Eu tô assistindo ainda, mas eu vou deixar em off aqui. Principalmente porque não é tão interessante para vocês, eu sei disso. E eu vou jogar agora, daqui a pouco, né? O Abisso vai participar aí comigo. O Little Nightmares. Vou zerar hoje já, porque eu sei que ele não é longo, né? Então eu vou focar em fazer toda a run dele hoje. Eu já encerro esse conteúdo aí que eu tô devendo, vamos dizer assim, pra Bandai. E aí, beleza. Tá? Então, pelo menos de, né, Pokémon TCG é isso daí. Nos vemos aí depois, se vocês forem ver alguma outra coisa. Nós fiquem por aí, que daqui a pouco eu reabro a live já no Little Nightmares, beleza? Então, brigadão aí, gente. Deixa eu fechar só que... Infelizmente, se eu fechar o YouTube, só a hora que eu reabrir, ele vai estar com o delay das mensagens muito grande. Então, eu tenho que fechar geral, tá? Mas rapidinho. Fechar. 2 minutos. E é isso. Beleza? Já voltamos. Valeu.